Greetings and salutations, my friends. Hail to everybody out there. With me, again, an amazing artist. I'm such a fan. I'm such a fan. I feel like such a little nerd boy. Getting to talk to Dan LAWLIS again. We were kind of rushed last time, so I'm like, oh, we finally been able to sync up the schedules, get him here. So, Dan, so awesome to have you hanging out with me again.
Yeah, well, I had a great time last time, so this is just hanging out. This is just fun.
It's talking shop and comic book nerddom and fandom and stuff like that. It's everywhere. It's out there, and happy to be a part of it. Chat's doing great. Awesome to see James. James
There's
out
James
there
and Heidi,
yeah.
his wife.
And Heidi. Oh yeah. Heidi's here too. Awesome. Hey, all right. We got people rolling in and out, so that'll be awesome. So Dan, how you been, man? Been busy?
Yeah. I'm doing a lot of comic stuff, like just kind of behind the scenes. There's some stuff I can show and some stuff I can't yet, but doing some covers and stuff. It's kind of fun, man.
That's awesome. So, I'm so happy for you too, because I know last time you were talking about that transitional phase in life where you're trying to move away for advertising and storyboards and back into comics as a more like devotion, and like you just love the passion of that, but at times it's not always
I'm rediscovering it.
That's
I'm rediscovering it after 20 years. Frankly, it's what's happened, because I had written it off. I had said that's it. Not going back there, because they didn't have there was no money in it, and I couldn't do a comic book in the quality that I wanted in a month on a monthly scale. It just drove me nuts. Just like no, so I just said forget it. But now, there's a chance you maybe make a living at it, because the crowdfunding is it's a much more financially feasible situation, and I could take more than a month to do a comic book. Oh, I could just mint that thing. I can make it the best I can do, which is just that's it. So now it's open, and that's a possibility. But it's still it's still not only a few guys are really making it well in the crowdfunding. So you have to really work that and build an audience, and that takes some time and some effort. It's not just the art. You got to really get out there and talk about stuff, which I'm finding to be kind of fun, like we're doing now. This is what you got to do. And I actually like it, because I really hated being in comics. I think I've told you before. It was lonely, it
was isolated. Yeah, you talked about this there's a whole clip there on that. Monkey Jeebus is here. Hey, my friend, how are you doing? And James also is saying, let's hopefully see this translate to some of the sales of Dan's art. Yes, there's links in the description for everything, folks. You can check out Dan on YouTube. He's going to be doing a lot more like art teaching and art lessons. So he's going to try to transition into doing a lot of that, sharing that knowledge, sharing that wisdom and experiences, as well as we go through his Instagram page, we go through some of these Indiegogos, some of these different things that are going on. You can buy your own copies, and you can get original art, like James is saying. Yeah. It's awesome. So
the website is Comic Art Fans. It's the biggest. I think it's one of the, if not the biggest, it's got to be the biggest. Original art website. They run by Bill Cox, and he's a wonderful guy, and it's just a great place to find original artwork and look at artwork. And he does a YouTube show every week. And I always tune in, because I just like looking at the cool art. But I just type in my name there, but the stuff will come up. It'll say for sale. There's a little banner on it, and if James Mealy is it says he's the seller, that's the name to look for. And that's me, that he's selling it on my behalf. So
all right, well, hopefully I got the right link there, and I get you over there to that website, folks.
There's some expensive pieces, and there's some cheaper pieces, and so you can get there's lots of stuff available. So
that's awesome. So Dan, before we get too far away from that, talk a little bit about comic art and working with James and that kind of part of it, because that's something that I have to be honest, I had never thought that comic art would even be in my price range. I mean, literally, I've spent years of my life not buying comic art, because every time I'd see a piece, you only see pieces that are showcased on a wall in a comic shop or something, right? So there are these, $200, $300, $400, $500, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 pieces. You don't see this page is $60 and this page is $50 and this page is $100, things like that. Has the market changed, or is it just that with the internet now we can just kind of get it out there easier?
Apparently it's exploded in price, unfortunately, like for buyers, for people who own it, it's great, because at least one piece of art where they bought for, a couple $100, 20 years ago is now worth 15 grand or something.
Wow.
So But yeah, I mean, so even my artwork, it's like it's all supply and demand. The ones that people really want are pretty expensive, and the ones that are that less people want. But you can get sketches and stuff pretty cheap still. And, even the big guys. If you really, I mean, you could probably, if you wanted to spend a couple grand, get yourself a little Verzetta or something. It's possible.
Yeah,
but
something really cool.
So there's a lot of that stuff floating around out there. But it's not. It's not a cheap hobby. It's not a cheap hobby.
There's a comic book guy for us. He may have a question for you, Dan. So feel free to hit that stuff. And James says we got everything for every budget. Yes, that's what I see. I see stuff, all sorts of stuff. I see sketches, pages, covers. I see everything on James's site. So feel free to navigate that link as well. Yeah. And like I said, stuff's in the description. So,
well, now's a good time to buy actually my work, because I'm just getting back into it, and I'm slowly building my presence, and not everybody knows about me yet. So if I were to,
Dan's saying that he's cheap right now,
exactly.
But as time goes on,
hey, I'm just being honest. Like right now, some of these things could be worth a lot more later. So we'll see what happens. But you never know. But
well, I think that's kind of it literally is just a lot of just supply and demand and what people will be interested in. And folks, you just you start rewinding the clock and you go back. Do you look back at a piece that maybe you're like, shoot, I wish I had kept that piece, or I wish I had gotten this piece, or something like that? Is there a piece like you?
Well, I'm a little bit bummed that I got rid of the trading card art, like Hulk versus Wolverine and stuff like that. But at the same time, I did need the money at the time, it's just going to sit at my desk. It's just going to sit in my shelf. I don't really even have it framed or anything. So somebody else wanted it. The person who did buy it, I saw them. They framed it. They put it on the wall. It was like, great. That's better. You know what I mean? I'm happy with that. So, but I don't need to have it. I don't even look at it. So I just want a couple of pieces. I want some art to keep, to kind of pass on to my kids, so they have something that.
Have they did something? Have they said, Dad, listen, I like that one.
Yeah.
Dad, I want that one.
But I tell you what, though, I'm now going back to drawing. I'm done with I'll color in digital, but I will draw it on pencil and scan it in and work from there. But I want my originals, because I did lately did a couple of those pieces, and I just like, I want this. I want the original drawing, but there is none. It's all, I did it on digital, the tablet.
Right. So,
have
they has the fan dibbed any pieces yet? Say, Dad, I know you may not want that piece, but I want that piece.
No, not yet.
No, all right. See,
they're not too interested. It seems like.
Okay.
It's girls.
Well, they're still young too. Things change. Mine started dibbing stuff when we moved. They were like, "Hey, Dad, are you getting rid of that? Are you getting rid of this? Getting rid of that?" Back in the day, they were basically putting me in the grave about my comic collection. They were also like, "Well, I want Dad's comic collection." The other one was like, "No, I want Dad's." Because I was like, "Wait, hold on, kids.
Oh, boy.
I got a few more years before you start divvying up my Batman. So this is not fair, man. It's not cool." I get to decide how we divvy them up.
Now I have had the boyfriends of the girls come in looking for stuff like, hey, you can draw me Spider-Man or something.
Oh, that's kind of fun. Yeah.
So it's that's getting back to this whole subject. What we were talking about, or just you were talking about before. It is still a guy's hobby. These comic books were always mostly guys, and they still are. Even though they're trying to say they're not. I've been to comic book shops, my whole life. I never saw a woman in there. Now I'm sure they're there are some, but overall, I remember going to comic book conventions, and if you saw like, hey, there's a girl there, like, what's she doing here? So it's always been a guy's hobby, but I mean that can change. And like I said, some of the comic books are, if they're well written, anybody can read them. It doesn't really matter, just a good story. But
sure. Yeah, I think from convention standpoint, I could say I probably noticed a change about 10 years ago. Marvel, of course, exploded, and conventions become more of an event and a spectacle. Yeah. And you had a whole lot more cosplaying, things like that. And ladies like to cosplay; they get a lot more attention, and you can have a lot of role playing and seduction and things of that nature. So you had different folks, different. So oh, definitely, and some of these are massive.
Yeah, so it's fun, It's just it grew and grew, and I don't know. It's more. I hesitate to say family, because some of the stuff that's there is not family friendly, but it's just I've seen families like last time I was at a comic book convention, I saw a mom, dad, and kids all dressed up in as Batman, a cat, I think it was Catwoman or Batgirl, and the kid was Robin, and all this whole family was built. They were bodybuilders. Like it was the coolest.
They look
thing.
good. They were looking.
They look good. You know.
That's funny.
That's
my
one
daughter.
Of my restrictions to dressing up as a superhero course.
Yeah, we don't have to build anymore, Dan. Even if we could say we may have at some point. Yeah. No, my daughter and her family, they will cosplay, and they dress the kids up when the kids were really little. Like she had to take them with her, but now we take the kids. But yeah, they cosplay all the time. She looks pretty good.
Yeah,
so.
it's like Halloween, you know. So it's like dress up.
Comic shop is hiring. Maybe you could check your shop. So, and comic shows are less about comics now, more about multimedia stuff. It's kind of sad. Yeah, it is, especially when you have whole companies skipping out. That was really pretty pathetic and sad. So yeah, you kind of have to pick and choose the schedules and what was going to be going on, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But and on that, the multimedia stuff, you know, Dan, it's been a hot topic. In a few hours, another episode will drop, and I'll be subjecting myself to another episode of She-Hulk, good or bad.
Oh, really?
You did say, yeah. Thursday morning. Yeah, it'll be Thursday morning. So it's like Okay. It'll be midnight my time. I don't know what time it drops, or 3 a.m.
We're in the same time zone. So.
Okay, so I think it's 3 a.m. our time zone. I think it's what it is. Anyways, Thursday at the freaking crack of dawn, She-Hulk episode 2 will drop. I'm in the minority of the Uber fans of not hating on it as much as many of the others have, particularly because the little rant that Jennifer Walters has in the episode went viral because it was very woke and it was very, you know, it was woman-splaining and lecturing him and all that. And I'm like, but overall, I thought the episode was less woke than I expected, less objectionable than some of the other Marvel content, and it's episode 1. Everyone acts like this is like episode 6, and I'm like, wait a minute, she may have a story arc. Can we at least give them a chance to do it wrong before we pile on? This is different than my reaction to Kenobi, because right out of the gate of Kenobi, they created like canon problems. They created problems with the timeline. Like, oh, if this happens, this can't happen. If this happens, that can't happen. So my objection to Kenobi was different. First off, let's just start with your general impression of the She-Hulk episode 1 before we get into some of the more.
I thought it was. It's not great. It's not like great entertainment. It's like watching a sitcom or something. It's something you just sort of watch, and it's kind of cute. I thought it was kind of funny. I saw that, some of that stuff. But here's the thing: is they're saying, oh, she's not a good. She's not like they're criticizing her for not being heroic from the start. But that's what a lot of stories start: the reluctant hero, and they don't want to be a hero, and then they become a hero. That seems okay to me. She's playing. Here's another thing that she's kind of playing a little bit of that feminist thing, but some feminist characters are fine. The problem is, I think I mentioned this to you, and just in the email I said, it's when they all are super strong females. It's like then you're being preached to. But She-Hulk, it seems to me to scream to want to be a feminist hero. Now some of the problem in the comics though is they've completely abandoned all the sex appeal of the She-Hulk.
Yes.
That was part of She-Hulk, was sex appeal. If you do that, then you will lose the male audience, because the guys want to hear about they want to read a heroic character. She can be a strong female, but she's got to be attractive. I mean, even the guys are attractive. I mean, look at all the hunk guys and Captain America and Thor and stuff. That's
Mark Ruffalo's on the low end. Mark Ruffalo's more like us, almost. I mean, I'm not trying. He looks better than me, but at least he's a little closer to the scale than some of these other guys are. They're way out of my game. And
my wife likes to go to the Thor movie. Like that's the one she's like, I'll go, and I'm like, yeah.
They would fight over my screener passes back in the day, Dan. It was crazy having the daughter be sad because I only had like one. I only had a +1 for a screener and stuff like that. We'd have to go Thursday night again, so I'd have to see it again, good or bad, just because. So I really couldn't agree more. I feel like, and I said it briefly, and I know they were going for Ally McBeal. I don't think it's nearly as good as Ally McBeal in episode 1. However, I get more of that 90s vibe. Let her be. Look, her being a witchy woman in episode 1 is not the problem. I did have a problem with the origin change. I thought that was really bad. I didn't like the origin change at all. It totally does degrade Hulk. She saves him, that kind of stuff. But a lot of it was just very generic. I thought it was fine because I don't know. I just felt like it was like it's sort of feminism, but it's not as crazy as some of the other stuff is. Even though I can see it is sort of a cousin to the other stuff. Like I'm
Yeah.
not blind. It's just
But
I
it's
don't know.
done. It's done in the tongue-in-cheek kind of
Yeah, I
way.
felt like it was. I felt
And
like it
so
wasn't as
I
off-putting for
didn't
me.
feel like I was being preached to. I felt like this was an actual character. And
Mhm.
so that's what like I think you would say that you let it pass because it's the character. And
It's episode 1 too, right? So we
yeah,
don't is she
yeah,
gonna be like this in episode look, okay, so I did a review of this. It's a Paramount Plus show and it's called Honor Society. And I compared it to a Hulu show called Not Okay. They're both not particularly watchable because they're extremely leftist woke in their essence. Uh, kind of unlikable elements to a female character. And in Not Okay, I'm convinced at the end she's not that significantly different than the beginning of the film. Like it's just not a good film because there's no
right.
real change to her character. She had this massive opportunity to become a different person, but then the pieces that are there don't make you think that. And then in the other one, I at least think the main character changed some. There's a really bad element to the way the movie ends, but she at least seems like she changed. With She-Hulk, I'm like, okay, so she starts off witchy. She's kind of bitter. She's jaded. She's been through some stuff. And I got to be honest, I still work in corporate America. Some men are douchebags, and a
Yeah.
lot of corporate America have a lot of men that are in control and maybe treating women at least they feel like they're being treated inferior, and some of those elements are there. And yeah, she can be reasonably strong. She can be kind of athletic. None of that was really that big of an issue, but let's just see where it goes.
Yeah.
So I think we both agreed, like, we can see it. Look, I basically gave it like it's kind of in the middle of the road for me. It's that it's like a five or a 6. Why does everything have to be an 8, 9, 10, or a 1 or a 2? Nothing can be in the middle anymore. Like
Yeah.
everyone reacts on these crazy extremes. Like it's just kind of in the middle. It's just generic. I don't know.
You know what I actually had a little problem with was why didn't he let her go when she wanted to go? Like when she wanted to leave the island.
Yeah.
Because she was trying to just leave and he was trying to stop her. And then they end up with that big fight, which is a cool fight. I mean, it's just, sometimes you just want to watch people smash stuff around the Hulks. So I thought that some of that stuff was pretty fun and cute, the little yoga thing that was cute, or
Fine.
that's just fun stuff. It's not.
He threw the rock at the end to show how much stronger he was, and you
Yeah.
kind of like that wasn't shown in the trailer. And I think that was a good element because it shows us, look, the Hulk is way stronger than her, and he knows he's stronger than her.
Right.
Let's calm down a little bit with. I think a lot of the objection in episode 1 is headcanon, stuff in our heads. And I do say that we can't go into things where it's in a vacuum because we do know they have goals and motivations and agendas, but we also can try to objectively evaluate it. And I don't think it's as off-putting as most people reacted to, but I also don't think it's good and a great representation of feminism. I thought she's a horrible character. Jennifer Walters is not a likable character yet. Good.
Yeah.
She-Hulk or not She-Hulk, she's not a likable character yet. I agree with you though. The biggest thing for me is the fourth wall stuff. They seem like they're missing that because it was always directed. First off, in Sensational She-Hulk 1, it was directed on the cover, literally on the cover, to John Byrne. Like literally says, "This is our second chance. Let's not mess this one up, okay?" Like literally, that's on the cover of Sensational She-Hulk number 1 of like Bubbles. Like this is my second shot at having my own comic book. How about you not mess this up, Mister? And then that part is missing because she doesn't treat the audience. I would have rather her fourth wall speeches be more like, okay, listen, I know you're watching and I know that you may not like some of these other shows, but I really like you to we have to keep the ratings up if you want to keep looking at me. If you want to see, she has to be more engaged of like who the audience really is instead of just this weird vagueness. I want her to be more jovial about it.
Yeah.
So
and if they did the kind of sex appeal they did in the comic books, I think that wouldn't fly for Disney.
I wish she'd just come out of the shower with a towel on and she's just talking to us with this sexy stuff is like off camera, but it's sexy enough. And all the men are glued to their TV hoping that they'll get a little shot of something, right? And that's what you have to bait them along, just like network television did.
Yeah. Like I just said,
like
the men are attractive, the women are attractive. That's part of comics. Superman, Superwomen.
Entertainment.
I remember, what was it? The Captain Marvel lady. She was being criticized and stuff, and then she came on some talk show and she just had huge cleavage showing. You could see all the guys are just like, man, she's not so bad. It's like we're
Dan
we're pretty
almost did it,
easy,
folks. He almost said the 4-letter word because we don't talk about her name. I can't stand her, just so we're completely clear. So let's see. Monkey Jeebus is going to apply at a comic shop to get a job Tuesdays and weekends. How about Wednesdays and weekends? You have better odds. Just so you know, Wednesdays is a busy day. Jacob Ironside's here. Hey, my friend, if you have a question for Dan or comments, feel free to throw them in. It's all the hypocrisy within the show that many object to, plus altering the origin. Well, I definitely agree with the latter, as I said. The hypocrisy in the show, I don't feel like James has really been flushed out very much yet. And the reaction is more like a reaction to the whole Marvel universe, not the show itself. I think it's what Dan was saying too.
Yeah. Do you get the feeling too, though, with the YouTube channels and stuff like that? They're against pretty much everything. I mean,
it's a drug. It's a drug because that gets clicks. Like, so my Kenobi video, people thought I was like, I don't want to say acting, because literally it's me face palming. I literally left work, filmed the video before my drive home, so I would have it done before I saw anyone else's stuff. Because I try to do my video as green's a horrible pun with the She-Hulk conversation, as in a bubble as I possibly can. And I was so upset about it because I'm such a fan of the original Star Wars, and I had my issues with it. But I didn't hate on it the same way because it was different the rest of the way. I don't want to run a hate channel. Actually, the one reason I've been doing all these Indian, I don't know if you're familiar with any of these Indian cinema films that have come out in the last couple of years. I got turned on to them by accident. Now I'm down the rabbit hole. And so many of them are so good. It's shocking, Dan. They can tell stories. Like, it's incredible how good some of this content is. Oh, yeah. You and I can talk about it more later. So let's get through chat. So, Monkey Jeebus is with us. She-Hulk is fine. It was like the comic books. I'm not sure I agree with the latter part.
It reminded me of the comics, though, because She-Hulk was kind of a, she's very, I don't know. It sort of, first off, it kind of looks like John Byrne's She-Hulk. Her face, I thought a lot of people think she doesn't look that good, but when she becomes She-Hulk, she looks like the John Byrne face to me.
I thought she was pretty as She-Hulk. She's not sexy enough, but she was pretty. Like, she's okay. They don't play it up as sexy, is I think the difference. But okay, James, I agree. I understand that they don't mean it. They're not playing it for laughs. They mean it. I think that they don't have a good sense of humor right now. Our whole culture doesn't. So that's part of that problem. But
yeah, they're all afraid of it. They're terrified. Everyone's afraid of it.
Yeah, you can't. So just a tease on my Talk Hard show, which is Tuesday nights, we purposely try to find things that would offend everyone. So next week we're doing Johnny Dangerously. We're going to do Blazing Saddles. So yeah, we're going to purposely try to find things just to continue to remind people of humor. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, the way it used to be, here's the thing: is you make a joke, and it actually helps the situation because it relieves the tension of like in Blazing Saddles, all that racial jokes in there. That just everybody can laugh at it, and you can just kind of and you have a good chuckle, and then it sort of. I don't know. I think it brings people, grounds people a little better.
Well, you have to be able to laugh at the worst elements, and if you can't laugh at yourself, then something's seriously wrong.
Right.
It was like going back to what we grew up on, right? You have like Richard Pryor dropping the N-bomb, every which way. You had George Carlin who got into everyone's face about every single thing and stuff like. It was a way to diffuse what's got everybody so bent out of shape. And now you feel like what about so rare.
What about World War II, where they did characters and funny characters of Hitler? It wasn't that they were belittling the threat; they were making fun of it, and that's sometimes making fun of something is the greatest derision you can do to somebody. I mean, like that's why the political cartoons are like that. They have these they have a silly face, and you kind of can all laugh at it.
Dan is teeing them up for me tonight. Dan, have you heard of this? It's called The Fuhrer and the Tramp. No. I did a little interview with the creators. The premise was, and he was motivated by when the North Korean dictator, Kim Jong-un, put a hit out on Seth Rogen because of that dictator movie that he did, right?
Really? So
they joked. Yeah, that actually happened. Wow. And then he joked, they'll say, well, what if Hitler tried to kill Charlie Chaplin? Like, a contemporary. So the entire premise was,
okay, because he's the mocking of
it is so good. It is. They did such a great job of tying in like historical stuff and things like that. So I did a little. It was shown to me as like a kind of a like a show and tell night where someone said, "I bet you haven't seen this one, Pops," and I'm like, "Well, nope, I haven't actually." And then I said, you know, and the creators were like, "We'll come on with you," and I'm like, "Oh, well, I have to get a copy of the book," so I had to get a copy and read it. But yeah, they explained all this stuff to me. It's fantastic. Same kind of thing. It's comedy. It really is.
People need to lighten up.
Monkey Jeebus. Okay, I'm not sure She-Hulk is better. Hulk is. It's just they're different. They're not the same, and the show sets up a little element of why they're not the same. But I agree with what James said earlier. I don't care. I didn't care about the origin change, and we'll see how it kind of continues to play out. So
yeah. Plus, you know what? You have to be realistic. If you're going to enjoy anything today, you got to understand the creators are going to be, you know, not agreeing with everything you agree with, and sometimes you have to just suspend that and just enjoy the entertainment. You know, it reminds me of that. There's a lot of people that don't like that. I think it was Godzilla and King Kong movie, and I liked it just because it was just, you know, bashing the crap out of each other. It was just, you know what I mean? Like,
if I had a criticism, it was like all the humans are the problem with this movie. Can we just see? My problem with the criticism of Godzilla versus King Kong was I just want more of them and less of the humans. Like I just want more.
I could have just watched a reel of special effects of those guys battling each other. So I mean, but sometimes, like I said, my expectations are not very high when I go into this. Like, you know, the Game of Thrones thing that's coming now, and everyone hated the last season of that. And I watched it and I thought, oh, I kind of liked it. And I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm just not. If they take a character and they like they did with Luke Skywalker, making him kind of that hermit thing, I thought, well, that's not what I wanted to see, but that is a story. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I'll just accept a story and just say, okay, it's not what I want to see, but this is their story that they told and they wanted to tell it. And you know, I roll. In other words, I don't
so chill, rolls with the punches. I'm like a
kinda. Well,
we have been out of shape as nerds. Dan's so much more chill. He's a Zen model for me because I can't stay that way, especially not with the.
Well, you know, there are ones that get to me though.
Yes,
and the ones when they preach, like I watched and they could ruin the whole film for me because like the latest Batman film, everyone liked that, but that one scene where Catwoman said, all these white, you know, woke white people.
Oh, the white privilege.
I mean, all these privileged white people. And I was just like, and Batman was standing right there. He didn't correct it.
Didn't say a thing. He's a white dude in a suit. You can see he's a white dude in a suit.
Yeah.
He probably has to be wealthy to be doing this.
Yeah,
I know.
And they just let that go. And that's where I'm just like, you know, you just put those things in. And they did the same thing in Spider-Man Far From Home, where the Electro made a speech to one of the Spider-Mans. And he just sort of accepted it too. And that's the stuff that I really get annoyed by is it's not if you change the character or do something to the character. It's when you try to preach to me something about whatever environment or whatever the thing is they got their political agenda is, you know.
Did Falcon and Winter Soldier honk you off?
Huh?
Falcon and Winter Soldier, the way it ended with the speech about you got to do better, Senator.
Oh, I didn't watch that series.
Oh yeah. It's actually, you know, it's actually one of the. If I had to rank them, it's one of the ones that's more tolerable until that episode. In that episode, everything, the train comes off the tracks. Falcon lecturing the white people. It's insane. It becomes completely nuts too.
But. Yeah. See, that. Here's the problem though. Is like I didn't see that episode because my expectations are so low.
Right
now that I really don't go see these things. If I wait for, you know, I watched No Way Home like a year later. I watched it just so happened I saw She-Hulk just because I just, you know, the family was watching it and I thought I'll just, you know, check it out. But I'm not seeking this stuff out and I'm not alone. A lot of comic book fans have been turned off by once you get preached to and they sort of bash you, you kind of once bitten, twice shy. You know, you just, you know, and that's hurting their sales. It's hurting the comics. They kill the comic sales.
Yeah, the comics are dead. I think Phase 4, the problem is they're buying like cheap. They've gone on the cheap too. So let's catch up on chat a little bit. Hulk thinks he understands being a Hulk, and she's going to have a dark side, but she didn't have that abuse as a child. You know, the funny thing about that speech that went viral too, Monkey Jeebus, is everyone assumes everybody knows everything. Like we're supposed to assume that Bruce has told Jennifer all of these things in his story. Like he said that he tried to commit suicide and that he was abused as a child. He has multiple personalities. Basically, we're supposed to assume all of that's happened. All these fans are complaining, and I'm like, I don't really have evidence of what they know or don't know, because he talks about the blip and what's been going on. So she's not quite attuned to everything that's been going on in his life. So anyway, Das Wolfen's here. Hey, my friend. Let's see. Tuesdays when new stuff's getting out, ready for Wednesday. Okay. That's not always the case in my area, but I'll take it. Yeah. Okay, cool. I could pack a pretty order quick. It's easy to put it back. It's easy to inventory, diamond, finish in an hour. Look at you, monkey. You got a resume going. Let's do it. And used to play with all the toys. With you. I'm with you. Let's see. Okay. The thing all woke scode hate more than anything else is humor, because they can't control what people find funny. Yeah, that's very, very true.
Yeah.
Very,
well, they seem to have lost their sense of humor.
Yeah.
Laugh at anything.
The interview,
James is a great example, though. Here's the guy who's ultra comic fan, and he hasn't bought a comic book in a long time, except for the crowdfunding stuff. So there's your fan base right there. That's the people you were selling these comics to.
I am too.
And they
I
started.
bought a single modern comic other than Berserker, the Boom Studios stuff. And I'm on the look for the Last Ronin Teenage Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But as far as Marvel DC stuff, I've not sent a nickel on anything.
Well, the sad thing is that we're probably missing some good stuff here and there. But
sure,
you can't buy. It's too much money. I mean, it's not. These comics aren't cheap necessarily. If you used to be able to go to the comic book store and walk away with a little stack of comics and $5 or something. Now what, you would $60? Like, no,
I don't know.
No, not for a little that little pamphlet. Unless this is the thing, is with the crowdfunding, it's even a little more pricey than that. But if you're gonna I want to see a comic that the guy's been working on for 6 months or a year. I want to see that quality.
I'm also getting a book and
I'm getting the
equivalent. Book, I'm getting the equivalent of like a graphic novel. I'm getting like 8 issues. I'm not getting like, an 18 pager. I'm getting some meat.
Well, the interesting thing is the prices now are approaching the crowdfunding prices, because the crowdfunding comics have 3 times the page count of a comic book, and those comic books now the prices are going up, or they're raising the prices. So you're getting much closer to the page count ratio, price point.
I think we've been there. I think we've been there, because this is the equivalent of a crowdfunding book, right? It's as far as the size goes, the number of the pages, it's going to be pretty close, and their cover prices are going to be about $20. So $20-$30 is kind of, if it's hardcover, it's always going to be about $30, $25, $30, or $40. So it's not as much out of whack as they've tried to make it. The Interview is the name of that Seth Rogen movie that we were talking about, where he got himself on the radar screen of North Korea, by the way. Jay says people might let some of the woke crap in a show go if the creators weren't blasting them on social media with the same crap. I agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. Sarone Almighty. All right. Hey there. I guess I've been burned too many times now. I no longer am interested. Maybe that was the point.
Yep.
They don't want me as a customer anymore. They want me to just shut up and consume. Yeah, that was, that's the famous Kelly Sue DeHaan, if you don't like my stuff, don't buy it. If you don't like my movie, don't go see it.
Nobody bought it.
Well, okay, we won't. Okay, no problem.
That's the worst line anyone ever did. Stanley would never say that.
Could you imagine Stan Lee rolling over in his grave?
Like,
wait a minute. So this person told them not to buy their comic book, and she thought it's a job. Like, why? Yeah, I know. Yeah. They'll say it about anything now. It's really crazy. So I didn't find the origin change as egregious as a lot of people. It is essentially the same reason, just the delivery of the blood was different. I agree, S. Wolfman. I also think that people are really reading too much into her reaction, but because I think her reaction is still, she doesn't want to be called hysterical and emotional, but the entire episode is about her being hysterical and emotional because all this is happening and she's just reacting to it differently than he would want her to. And it wasn't really wrong of her to be reacting this way. I just think it's just silly. So, and plus it sets up for the potencies of Hulk blood for future storyline reasons. Well, yeah. And by the way, we ignore the fact that there's a spaceship, by the way. No one even addressed the spaceship again. So we're assuming if it's from Sakaar, this might tie into some of the rumors that they'll actually do Planet Hulk again or something like that. I don't know, but that would make more sense. So,
yeah. By the way, did you like the original Hulk movie? The one where it was pretty dark, I felt like.
Ang Lee or the Incredible Hulk? The Ang Lee Hulk or the?
I'm trying to think of the one where his past was revealed. I think it was the first one. I just was like, oh my gosh, I'm supremely bummed out. Like,
Oh,
you know, I think Peter Parker, I mean, not Peter Parker, Bruce Banner's, you know, here's the thing: when you're writing a story, this is the I think the temptation that a lot of writers fall into. They got to make some drama, so they got to create some problems, but they almost like, you don't make it like too serious. I don't want to. I don't want the news. Like if I want to see something grim, I turn on the news. But it's like the comic books is still kind of be a little bit, kind of lighthearted. I mean, I feel like addressing issues of abuse and stuff like that. That's a little too.
Well, there's too much time spent on it. I think there's too much time. Same thing I had the same problem with the Amazing Spider-Man films. Both those films, they were too obsessed with the romance and the girlfriend stuff to not let Spidey be Spidey. It was like so much time, so much screen time was spent on this relationship stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I honestly, I'm not a fan of those originals because I felt he was so bummed out, and I actually like the Tom Holland version because he's so upbeat. He likes being Spider-Man, and I remember when I read the comic, and he would be Yahoo, and he would be a smart aleck. Remember the original stuff? He was fighting these guys, and he was being a smart ass while he was doing it. And it was really a lot of fun because that's the fantasy. I always talk about this is the male fantasy is in comics is you are in control. The man is in control. Like that was my problem with some of the Conan stuff. It's like as soon as they bring in these women and they're in control, now you got a female fantasy, which is great. If you want to write it for females, write it for females. But the male fantasy is the man's in control, even when he's chained to the wall. And he's got the villains leering over him. He's going to get out of that. He's got the confidence. Even if somebody comes along and helps him get out of it, it's because they like him. Because that's his power too, likability. It's he's in control of the situation all along, and that's that enjoyment that I think you get from a comic book.
And I'm not trying to defend She-Hulk as a series because I haven't seen it all. So if they don't have a story arc for her, then they'll be called out. Look at Heidi. Heidi's over here. I don't know if she's venting or she's admitting, but she says they used to spend about $300 a week, and now they spend nothing other than crowdfunded stuff. So there you go.
That's a car payment there. Yeah.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But listen, I understand. So I only buy trades, graphic novel rather than floppies. It's the newest in my collection, mid-late 2000s. Yeah. It's easier to. I actually recommend a lot of that to folks, especially the newer collectors or people coming in a little late. And we're referring to things that happen and that are very expensive to buy now. I'm like, get a cheap trade. Get one that's beat up and rad. You don't even get a $5 one. You don't even need a nice one to read. It's okay. You can get then find the things you like to know what you might want to invest in or have as a display piece or something like that. So
yeah, the only problem is. Now, even if you buy, go back and buy original Spider-Mans in the trades and stuff, you can enjoy them. You could become a fan. Then you start reading the modern stuff, and it ruins that's the problem. Is a lot of I actually this goes farther back. It goes back to the Image days when they completely changed the branding of the art. I thought the art was good, but it wasn't the brand any longer. The Marvel brand that they had. And a lot of collectors, I think, saw that too and closed their collections at that time. The Eric Larson kind of stuff where it was just like these thin Spider-Man legs and stuff. Now, some of the kids, if you're a kid when you read that, that's your Spider-Man. You like that, but they had a brand before that, and a lot of collectors who had longtime collectors can't close their collections because they didn't want that stuff in it. And it's the same thing now with the woke stuff. They don't. These people don't want this preaching. They don't want a pamphlet for some political party, basically. And
they don't want Tim Drake being gay after 30-something freaking years. It makes no sense to us. Like, we're just done. We're not into that. Like, there's just some things that's like, if you have a gay character, you have a different, you want to do these different things. That's fine. It's just, it like you said, it's not the character that I was following or buying or, going along. So
because the thing is, they know if they create a new character that is gay, no one will buy it.
They've said it. They've said they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait the time to even build it up to get there. Is what they've admitted to doing. So
yeah. Well, it's also hey, it's like the scorched earth policy.
Sure,
it's not where this is. They can't have their character there. Just ruin the whole thing.
Yeah.
which is basically what has happened,
Awesome One is also admitted to being out, barely buying anything. Amazing Spider-Man 2 had a great costume. Okay. Heidi's like, yeah, we save a lot of money.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Zax is here.
$300 a week is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, yeah. Zax is here. Again, Dan, got questions, things like that. We're going to move off of She-Hulk, I think, now. You want every character to be gay is the problem. Well, I think more than that, I also feel like it's a replacement of the old guard. It's the replacement characters. I know there's been great streams that are way better than mine talking about some of the financial paying royalties and stuff to these creators. It's like, well, they create this new thing or this hybrid, and they kind of gets them off the hook with some of those things. So
yeah, it's also easy. That's an easy,
it's lazy.
Way. It's easy way to create
So
interest
lazy.
or drama. It's like a comedian who is super profanity or something like a Howard Stern, or just has trashy stuff. It's like,
yeah,
it's anybody can do that. It's like you throw out the garbage stuff or the shock stuff, and you can get a little bit of attention that way. And but to really do creative stuff, that's why there's not any. I mean, can you think of a great character from Marvel that's not more than 20 years old?
No, I'm still coming up. I'm still in shock because I kind of had gotten a little bit unplugged from some of this. When I got back into this in the last few years, I'm shocked about how bad it is. And I literally would see other creators, even YouTubers, talking about things. I'm like, it can't be that. And I would read it for myself. I even just recently went back and reread the Ultimate Spider-Man introduction of Miles Morales. It is such a generic knockoff of Peter Parker. It was actually insulting to me now. I just kind of glossed through it originally, and I get the race swap thing, and I get that. But even the origin of the elements of the origin itself, and going to the lab and getting bitten and all that, I felt dirty. I felt like I felt ripped off. I'm like, okay.
Well, why? It's not that. It's you're sensing what they're doing is they're trying to protect their IPs from the Ditko family and all these from the Superman family, all these people that could as these things come up for review, if they don't have an alternative, they're in big trouble. So Miles Morales isn't really for that. It's to protect their internet property or their what do you call it, intellectual property,
IP. Yeah. James and I have talked about this. We did a whole segment on this about modern creators don't even know how to tell a story. They just replace it with identity. That is like the story. It's like, well, it's gay. It's Gay Robin. Well, it's not a story.
It's easy. It's easy to do. So.
There's no
creative ideas.
Yeah.
Think about that first Spider-Man stories that Ditko wrote. Like every single issue was a character that exists now. Like the Vulture and Doc Ock, and every single one was.
Think about for like the first
dynamite
2 to
ideas.
3 years. The first 2 to 3 years of every single one of those titles is full of these amazing character introductions. The Avengers series, the way they had Cap and Ice, just the way they brought in new Avengers, all Spider-Man and his rogue gallery of villains, the Fantastic Four and the way they handled bringing in Galactus and Silver Surfer. It's just like the stuff that happened. It's so incredible to think about. And really probably go out about 4 to 5 years, but just it's insane how good it is. Really, really is.
Yeah. And then nothing.
Yeah, I know. Then there's no excuse for these lazy swaps and changes. Okay, go ahead.
I would say I don't recommend anybody creating anything for Marvel either, because you do it for crowdfunding where you can actually make money.
You actually get a buck.
Keep sell your creation or something,
Yeah. Lazy swaps and changes have social media and media machines that can help promote and hype them up new characters and made them good. Yeah, I actually said this to EVS this morning. I put in his comments about basically they've turned sexuality into a gimmick. Used to be foil covers, Dan, back in our day. Now it's sexuality is a gimmick to sell a comic book.
Yeah.
So.
Well, even just think about they're doing these race swaps with these characters, but DC had that whole line of African American characters in Milestone, and they dumped it.
Yeah.
So they really don't care. That's not what they're after. You know what I'm saying? Right. They're not. These aren't. It's all about the money. It's just so I don't know. Yeah. So I'm the more I start looking at it, the more I'm actually almost angry at the way.
Oh, I get angry.
The way the creators are treated. The Ditko family not making any money. Just they couldn't give them something. it's just really annoying. So,
and we're not talking about like some of these things were just like to these companies, even with like the fight over, I think one of the fights was over like a $25,000 check. And I'm like, to these companies, it made $1 billion off this freaking movie. You're squabbling over a $25,000 check. Like, what the heck? And you can't even get like court documents and stuff out of this kind of stuff. But one of them leaked like that. And it was like, I was just my head. Yeah.
Well, you know, what they're probably afraid of is if they get 25,000, that may open the door to say, hey, you recognize that we are actually the legitimate, and they seek for more. So they're always going to fight you on that. I would just say, if you got a really, really good idea, don't give it to these guys. Don't do it. You know,
no,
just put it. Cause now the thing is, it's like Ethan was saying the other day, nothing. It's never been easier to create your own character and to promote it on, on YouTube and then sell it. And you can sell it for the rest of your life too, you know?
Right. And then you have your you own your own licensing. Your heirs will own the licensing. So maybe someone wants to come along later and buy it. Fine. But you owned the whole thing. You didn't have to get a little chunk and little pieces of this kind of stuff.
And you can build your library of books over the years. So, maybe you can do only one book a year, but after, 10 years, you got a real good library of books. And
Billy's She Omnibus right there, this massive collection of things that you can also reprint and do. And Graham was talking about doing that with his Monster Island stuff. He's going, we're going to recollect it up. I'm like, yes, I'm so excited.
Yes. And that's great. And he can go and sell it at conventions and everywhere.
Yeah.
And of course there's merchandising possibilities and things like that.
Sure. Yeah. And Monkey Jeebus is going off. That was EVS's stream this morning. Zaslav's ending DC Comics. Yeah, it's going to come. It's going to come some hardcore. So, Dan, we're going to ramble too long. We've got to get you to share your screen with me. We got to look at some of your art, talk about some of your cover work, some of the different things that are going on. Folks, if you could please just consider subscribing to Dan. There's links in the chat. His original art is for sale. You can go over there and get original art. You can follow him on Instagram, all these different ways and to connect with him. I think I copied most everything in there. If you hit a crowdfunding campaign or something that has expired, I do apologize, because it's very hard to keep all those links updated because the campaigns will end at some point. But you can get those in some way, shape, or form. So, for instance, I know over at Compass Comics, Graham has stopped the giant size two-fisted manly tails.
Yeah.
Dan had the alternate cover, which I did not get. I get it fast enough. What? I had the one ordered. I know. I had the one ordered, and then it ended, and I'm like, wait, I had to go back, and so I'll have to get it through Graham. It's fine. You'll get a copy. So there'll be options. But he has the El Caban. I call it the El Caban cover because the guitar smashing into the face of the other guy. It's the El Caban cover, which is great because it's an insider joke for those of us that are old enough to remember the El Caban reference.
Yeah, I didn't. When I drew that, I didn't make the reference, and I did not sort of dimly remember that thing. So then everyone started saying El Caban, like So I went and watched it, like, I kind of remember that McGraw guy. Here's the first page I've colored for Aaron Lepresti's Garbage Man, which is he's doing his new Wraith of God comic book. There's going to be like a 18-page story backup, and this is one of those pages. So,
isn't it amazing, guys? Look at that.
So I actually requested, like, it was kind of funny. I was in this is how this stuff is happening now. Like, I was in a chat with Aaron and on a show, and I said, boy, would I love to color that. And he emailed me like a little later. Are you serious about wanting to color that? Yeah,
That's awesome.
So it's a lot of fun. I'm putting in I never ever colored somebody's stuff before. Just do my own art, but So actually, now Andy Smith has a new character called Cordrath. He's a barbarian, and I'm not going to color that book, but I've colored the cover and a couple of these pinups. So I think these might be going to be trading cards. So it's a fun. It looks like a fun no holds bar kind of.
And by the way, notice that work. This is a man that loves his Conan. So, and Conan will eventually have more options out there. And we're going to get this man on a Conan book. I'm telling you, I'm going to keep pumping him up here to get that gig. Here we go.
So this is the main female lead, Adriana, I think her name is.
And that's in Andy's book. Yeah.
Yeah, this is from Core Draft, and here's the cover actually. So there's the girl, there's Core Draft, and then there's
Look at that great cover, guys. Oh, so great. Comics are not dead. They're just on a different website.
Yeah.
Comics are not dead. There's just a whole bunch of little tiny companies.
No. Well, we're going to move to what's happening is we're moving to the European model, and that's comics that they're take longer to come out, but are really, really good quality. They're going to be more like books, So, which is what I mean. I tell you, it's a better model, way better. It's so cool, Here's just my Instagram. Now, if anyone ever wants to see what I can do, go to Dan Lawlis Art on Instagram, and that's my portfolio. That's where you see pretty much everything that I do. And I'll often put up sketches like this, this latest one here with the Graveyard Shift character Monster, just a quickie little sketch. I mean, I think I might have it around here.
I'm typing the wrong thing here. I want to put his link in the chat for you guys. You can get
just a pencil, little pencil sketch of me, just and then I just colored it, scanned it in color just for practice, really.
I love it.
So
he was saying earlier, and if you came along a little later, he was explaining how he was doing some stuff digitally and realized, oh man, I don't have my pencils. I just did them. I'm going to draw it, scan it, then color it. So I have my pencils. I'm like, yeah, that's great. You got to do that. Look at that. It's awesome.
Here's just the character from Frazetta's Red, what's his name? Something Dawn. Forgot the name of the character now, but anyways, they're doing a comic book, and so this is one of the characters, and I thought I'd just throw it out there. Kind of felt inspired.
There's James giving everybody the cue for those of the people that didn't get the Kabong reference, just so we're completely clear. And let's see, DC can't lose the copyright. They still have a trademark for the modern versions. We know, yeah. There's you can't just go out and make a Batman comic book. They're gonna have there's licensing with that. So Lawless the Barbarian, that's great. That's it.
Here's kind of a glimmer of what I would do with Conan.
That's a lot of Conan right there. Yeah.
Now this is like you never really see Conan armored, and so I he's always got the almost the loincloth type thing, which is fine, but a lot of Conan, a lot of Howard stories, he was a general, he was a king, he was a warrior. So I kind of decided to do a quick sketch of that. Although this could also be my own character with a different hairstyle, that just so you know.
Listen, Sword and the Sorcerer needs a comic book adaptation, something like that. A little Sword and Sandals work never gets old to me. So
yeah. So I do want to do a Conan type character, and I have one written that I want to do. But
Monkey Jeebus.
What I love about
the Death Dealer, I agree 100%. Definitely need more Death Dealer in the world.
What I love about the Sword and Sorcery things is it just checks the boxes for me. I can draw figures. I can draw, faces and not his figure isn't shown here, but I can add all the colors and put all these tones in. When you're drawing Spider-Man or Hulk or something, they're kind of one color, and you're working with green or red or something, and it's not as interesting to me. With skin tones, you can put any color you want in there. You can put greens and blues and purples, whatever, and then I can paint armor too. I want to paint armor. So all the things I kind of want to do are in Sword and Sorcery. So I kind of got to do it. And I love nature. I love hiking and biking and walking trails. I love to do spectacular scenes and stuff. So I want to do that. All the stuff is there. It's sort of like, that's what determined what I was going to do. Cause I don't feel like drawing buildings. And
do you think that's another reason we see, certain characters like Todd McFarlane did this a lot, right? He'd rip Spider-Man's mask, so it'd be like hanging off. So you have at least an excuse to draw a human that's underneath some of this stuff. You'd have a reason to get some of that depth in there. So
here's I did this for these guys, the Barton brothers in Australia. They had the comic book called Corzon. What am I saying? That's Corzar. And it's kind of like dark fantasy and that sort of thing. But they asked me to do a pinup. So this is actually, now I don't know if they're going to use it as a cover or it's included as a pinup in their campaign. So I actually changed the colors a little bit recently, and that's why I put this up here. Here's an arm study I did. I was just sitting there listening to some of these live streams once. Well, sometimes at late at night, I'm just like, I'm too tired to like do anything, but I'm not too tired just to doodle. And so this is actually just doodling in Photoshop, you know. But it's really scribbly when you get up close. I'm just scribbling really. Oh, this is a couple of you'll see a couple of images here from the Kent Menace story that I just finished. We're still kind of shopping around for a publisher, so anybody interested in publishing this, I think we might actually go through their Tripwire magazine, which Scott Braden works for.
Okay.
But we'll see. The art's done though. It's 11-page story. It's kind of fun, but it gave me the opportunity to draw the kind of characters I like, which is like this guy, you know, kind of tough and fun and interesting. That's Sea Witch from the Frazetta painting, you know.
Oh yeah.
Just a quickie sketch. Again, it's probably sitting around here somewhere. It's a pencil sketch, scan it in, color it pretty quick. Just almost a warm up type thing.
You need to call Dan. Frazetta daughters, you need to call Dan. So
there's another shot from the Kent Menace story.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Another one.
James says, love to see Thundar.
Yeah, there's original art for this. This is the new thing. Let's pull out some of it. You know, so I'm going back to traditional again, you know. Penciling it. I pencil it pretty tight, scan it in, and
I'm liking it.
So I have originals again. Yay. Yeah, here's the image of the that we just saw of that face, you know. Whoops, I'm not getting a good clarity, but yeah, you know, you get the idea there.
I think it's great. It's great to see like behind the scenes, like what's working, how it all works, and that kind of thing.
So there's the if you bring up share my screen, you'll see the then that image colored.
Okay, let's go to this.
There it is. Yeah. So it's scanned in, colored. That's the thing about that's great is I was never a great inker and I didn't really enjoy it that much necessarily. I love the feel of a pencil. Now I can just bring the pencils in, clean them up a little bit in Photoshop, but then just color them, and you really can't tell the difference. And you know, I like the feel of it. Billy Tucci's actually doing that, I think, on She, and I think the look of it is really good. I remember there was only one time I can think of that they did it was Gene Colan did it with Nathaniel Dusk, and they scanned in his pencils and just colored them, which you know it wasn't so good. But now with the technology, I can clean this thing up and I'm coloring it, so I'm finishing it, so I can completely control it. You know,
I'm with you, James. This means there's more Dan Lawless art hitting the market soon. Yes, keep your eyes out, folks.
Yeah, James is like, come on, man. So yeah, this is kind of fun. See, all this stuff can be added in Photoshop. Is that
B-lit?
No, that is the Sea Witch. Right here. That's Frazetta Sea Witch painting character in it. So
Kent Menace laughs at Superman's split curl.
Yeah, that's another thing. You know, here's the thing. Why do you think they're getting rid of the spit curl? They did it because again, they're trying to protect their IP, because if the Superman people sue successfully to get that, control that Superman, it could go back to their hands. They have to have an alternative.
Hail to you for keeping the Widow's Peak, RIP Widow Peak. The Widow's Peaks have disappeared from everything, man. So hey, keeping the Widow's Peak's always good.
There's just a quickie sketch, scanning and colored
very quickly, almost like a Wolverine. God, it's so cool.
So yeah, this is fun. This is fun to, you know, what you can do now, the coloring you can do now in Photoshop. I mean, it's just awesome. That's from the swimsuit issue for the CG Vacation, the Comics Vacation, done by the
links
Diaz
in the
brothers. So
yeah.
There's a bunch of collection of.
And yes, Monkey Jeebus, teen sensation Billy Tucci. Yes, he did make that reference. We picked up on it too. Yep. So it's great. The detail, the colors popping. got sexy women.
Did you see me? Because I suddenly started scrolling like
No.
so
We're okay.
Anyways, you're back now. I can see you again, so
Okay.
I can get back to this. I gotta make sure I don't have too many windows open. I think I've got a few things here that I might. Oh, you know what? I still have Photoshop open. Let me close that.
Here we go.
And that'll help my
folks. There's links in the
so that
description
doesn't
for
happen to me again.
everything. That swimsuit issues in there, stuff like that. So feel free to connect to the Dan stuff. There's also that link we shared before. We can't find it again, so you can get your link to possibly track down a nice piece of original. It could be for you. You never know. You never know.
Now here's an interesting piece. This is of Andy Smith's First Man character. That's a crowdfunded comic book. I think he just closed this campaign, but on YouTube you can actually watch me. My channel, you can watch me create this image from scratch. I mean, I did some preparation video before I did it, but you can still see me. You know, that it's kind of like I said, the YouTube is incredible because I used to be, you know, I'd buy the art books and how to draw comics and stuff, and it'd give you 1 or 2 or 3 images to show the process of how they did it. Now you can actually watch
the whole thing.
Someone like me create it, and every line I make, you can literally see me draw this, finish it, paint it, and it's a finished illustration. I speed it up. I make these. It takes about an hour and a half to do them, like a half hour to draw it, an hour to color it. They're basically pretty simple stuff, but so it's you know, you can see the entire process now. This is wonderful, but
yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've listened to one of you guys doing that, just in the background, just listening to it, and I'm constantly glancing over, checking and seeing different updates and things like that. As you guys are narrating, maybe you're talking about different things. So
see, I got to do more narration. That's the one thing that's missing from these. Now I speed it up so it's under 5 minutes. So you could slow it down if you wanted to, but you're in your speed controls in YouTube. But you can, you know, if you wanted to do that, but that'd be pretty dull. But I think I'm going to do things like this, but then talk over them to explain the process too, because you have to. It's not enough just to see me creating it. I think you have to hear me explain what I'm doing and give you the sort of the angles and how to put this whole thing together. So that's what I want to do, more of that. You know, more voiceover over the actual stuff. Now here's the other image from the CG vacation. So. This girl doesn't get any hotter than a girl made out of lava. So she is as hot as you can get, literally.
All right, I'm going to share this link. James said the other link wasn't working. I think I must have tried to save with Dan's name in it. So you have to go there and then search Dan Lawless, and you get it. If you try to save that link or share one that has it, it doesn't want to work. So I took that out. So let me make an update to the main page as well. So if you go there on the right, you'll see a little search this site. You can put in Dan's name and you'll find what you need. So I apologize for the link issue. I corrected it in our description.
Oh, here's on the page of the from Kent Menace. It's actually the first page. He's being confronted by his mother. Actually, she's a mystical creature and kind of mysterious, and she reveals to him that, as the story goes, with the some important information that makes him
again the hair is like a character in this work. It's so amazing. Like her hair and his hair, like they're moving around. We have motion, stuff like that. I can't tell you how much I really find all that refreshing.
Yeah,
just the movement in that image.
But look at the lighting now you can do with a computer. I just paint that background pretty quickly. And it's kind of fun. There's the cover.
There's the cover. Yep.
Won't be American Mythology Productions though. That sort of fell apart. But
all right.
That's the before the background on it. Actually, sometimes I like the images I put the background in because it just, I don't know, something about the darkness of this particular figure or something. You can really see it. A lot of people have said that. I kind of like this one better. Like I kind
of like that. Yeah, I kind of like the contrast. Yeah.
Do an alternate thing like that. There, of course, is Conan and all his tough guy glory. Oh, people! This is funny because this is actually my biggest likes like on Instagram. It's like 370 people like this simple drawing that I did and scanned it and colored. I think is it her cuteness? I don't know what it is. But this thing went viral for me anyways. Is like 300 some likes. So it's kind of cool.
It's
But
just
I think she's beautiful and
just a cute person. Just
right.
a cute lady.
Well, it gets getting sort of retweeted by both guys and girls too. Because I think the women actually think women actually like beautiful women.
Yeah. I can just hear my daughter talking about her hair.
Right.
Dan's all about hair. It's like, she got cute hair. Look at the hair. This looks so good on so and so. I mean, I know that sounds sexist, but the reality is that's what my daughters will be talking about.
Yes. That's. There's another, just a quick little drawing there. This is me. This is. I'm not me. It's not my. This is me being me as an artist. I like just sitting down and drawing fairly realistically, but still having character and a face. But I could scan this in and color this as is right there. Pretty much the same as I did the other one.
James says it was her softness and femininity is what the appeal is there.
This is actually a really small drawing that I just scanned in and colored.
Like see more scars. This is a good example. See more scars. He needs more battle damage. He needs bigger axes. I got to get Dan to draw bigger weapons. He's not. The weapons are way too small. That is of someone who is that big and strong. Sometimes they need bigger weapons.
Although I've kind of, that's a bit of one of my pet peeves. I know I don't like the big giant axes because I know that the proper weight of a weapon like that would be something that's you want to be quick, even though he's strong and stuff. So, yeah. But now here's a good example why I love fantasy. The colors. Look how many colors I've thrown in there. On his shoulder, it's like there's like almost dark red, black, and then there's white and there's blues and yellows and oranges and green. Every color's in there, So it's just as an artist, it's just kind of fun. You can just be free, throw whatever color it in you want to mold it.
It's a very 60s looking mag art. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well, that's my thing. I'm the Frazetta guy.
That's where that's his sweet spot. That's Dan's sweet spot. If you like that kind of stuff, that's definitely gonna be part of it. Look at that.
There's another kind of, again, this is just a sketch, and I mean, this is the thing that bummed me out is I really did want to do something for Marvel when they had the IP, but they just didn't respond to my requests or any.
It's probably best. It's probably best.
Yeah, I think maybe it is. Well, here's the thing is again, if I create my own character, I can actually use this image and now I own it.
I think we need to get you onto this. I was talking about this Indian cinema thing with this RRR movie and this element of using like a historical figure, this sort of time frame, using stuff from like the Dark Ages, things like that, and come up with some sort of like interesting character or story to kind of adapt. That's kind of what they did with this film. They took two historical figures, pretended they would meet, and then put them in this sort of like fantastical universe where they can almost behave like superheroes and then go on this incredible story. It's fantastic. And this is the kind of thing that needs to be. It needs to get shared to the world. It doesn't have to be Conan. It can be something in that sort of vein. Tuna Slayer.
Yeah. It does look like tuna, doesn't it?
A little bit. Like piranhas and tuna did something bad to one another.
Yeah. This actually got a lot of attention too. People really like this piece. And it's one of those that's the funniest thing is sometimes the quickest, loosest sketches are the ones that ring with people. Maybe they're dialed into the rawness of the drawing. Just I'm just like freestyling, like just letting it rip.
I think he is the outcast prince of Atlantis because he doesn't look like the other Atlanteans. He was born as a mutant. He can still breathe underwater and function, but he's actually built more like Conan. So they don't like him because he's not like them. But he's this incredible warrior just in different ways. So that's my backstory on this fictional character I made up off the top of my head.
But James says, not the mermaids he was hoping to
not the mermaids he was hoping to meet. Conan's bringing sushi home for dinner, kids.
Yeah. This is how he fishes, apparently.
Yeah, all right. Throw those over his shoulder, be all right. All right.
Just another quickie sketch. These are almost warm-up sketches, these
It's
kind of
almost like
things.
the gargoyle from Ghostbusters. We almost got like Ghostbusters gargoyle thing going on here. A little,
Yep.
maybe Ghost Dog. What are they? Yeah, they're not called that either.
There's
I have
Rainbow
no
the
idea what's
bird.
happening.
Ethan's character.
Yes.
It's over the top. It's just ridiculous. But I had to take a shot at it. There's just the line art. Another quickie sketch. This is another late night. But look at all the blues and purples in his arm. Like it's just thrown in there. It's kind of just fun. That's what you can do in fantasy. You can't really see. I can't really do that with in comics. I think they would reject it. But in fantasy somehow it allows you to do that stuff. There's this is actually for sale on Comic Art Fans.
And you can go over to Redbubble and get a sticker and other designs of it over on the Redbubble.
It's a little different version. That one's I created with a computer, which I like a little bit better. But this is the original, and it's my color pencil technique, and it's at it's a Comic Art Fans, and it's for sale. Well,
don't close your window. Let me take us down for 1 second though, because they bring up a good point. Is it time to talk about the Rippaverse? I think it is for a second.
Sure,
Dan, isn't it exciting? Because to me, it's not. I know there's a lot of well-deserved hype and a well-deserved attention being brought to Eric July and what he's accomplished. But more so, it also raises the water for everyone else because it's created this attention for a normie. A normie goes, "What do you mean crowdfunded comic books? What do you mean independent comic books?
Yep.
What do you mean they don't work for DC and Marvel? There's something else out there." There's people that I'm meeting. We did a stream a week or so ago. And half the time we ended up talking about Image because most people didn't realize 1992 is like 30th anniversary of Image being formed. And I had a couple people message me like, I didn't even know this backstory. They didn't live through it. Like we take for granted for these things because we live through them. But you have someone who is in their 20s, they're in college. Sure, Image has always existed. They didn't really think about the fact that it was this coalition of these like rock star artists and creators, and they did these things. This is what they did. And sure, they know who Todd McFarlane and Spawn is, but they didn't know about all this backstory. And one of them was like, Wildcats looks really cool. I'm like, Wildcats is really cool. You should check out at least the first 10 issues. So I think with Rippaverse, it's great for him and it's great for that, but it's also, I think, good for this entire movement. So I wanted your thoughts and to speak to that a little bit.
Well, yeah. And it's colored by my buddy Gabe Altai.
Absolutely. Gabe's on it.
So it's a great success. It's just another, it's a rising tide raises all the boats thing. It's going to make all of it brings me back to what I love about the crowdfunding, where you keep your IP, you keep your profits, and you can spend more time on creating a really good piece of art. That's the business model of the future. That's what's happening, and Rippa's showing you that this is here to stay. I think that's really what he's showing here now. Now, will he keep the fans once they get this book? Will they be, oh well, that wasn't that great, I'm not going to buy another one, or not? Who knows? But we'll find out, because frankly, I haven't seen a lot of the story and a lot of the art yet. So I don't really know if it's going to be if it's got legs, whatever. But because he also doesn't have a lot of experience in, making comics and characters. Whereas someone like Ethan, has got 20 years, or John Malin, who was an X-Men guy. And when their books came out, they were pretty much a continuation of that quality that they were doing there. So I don't know. I just don't know much about Rippa, frankly. I mean, I've seen a show and stuff, but I don't know what the comic book is going to be going for. I'm a little. I was a little surprised. I don't know if I wasn't following it right, but Ethan was saying, "Hey, this is going to be a huge success," and I was just like, I don't know. What I saw, it didn't strike me as anything particularly unusual. But he seemed to think, this is going to do great, and it did. So, I mean, it shows what I know about the YouTube and all this stuff. I don't know. I still don't understand how it all comes together, how it works. But I guess if you have a large audience on YouTube, you can sell.
Well, he at least made a splash, and the biggest thing I'm hopeful of, and I know he did at least have a great conversation with like Chuck Dixon about this, and it was he's exceeded his financial goals, so it probably speeds up the timeline to maybe hire on someone like Chuck and to say, all right, listen, can you do can you do this spin-off of this character, or do you have a new character that we could add into this universe? Or, it speeds up those timelines of things that he may have had on the old whiteboard for a year from now, or 2 years from now, or even 3 years from now. Because you're talking about $3.5 million. When you were looking at a few $100,000, now you got full-time staff. I mean, just everything changes. And I will admit, I don't think it's wrong of us to have a little bit of apprehension, because we did live through Image. Not all of Image was great, right? So, were the first issues of Shadowhawk, was the first issues of, were they great?
What was the one that Liefeld drew that had the American flag guy? I forget. But
yeah,
that just wasn't good stuff, man.
Prophet. Has some ups and downs.
Better,
It was good.
But I mean, there was some. They were incredible. Like Pitt was.
Yeah, it's right
awesome.
behind me.
I mean,
I actually have my copy.
mean,
that's not for sale. I have a Pitt number 1 behind me. Dale Keown. Dale Keown.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited when he came into the Comicsgate movement. I was like, they got the guy that I thought was the best guy.
The art,
like as far as
else
art,
was great,
quality of art.
What's the story with like Stephen Platt? Whatever happened to Stephen Platt? Remember Stephen Platt? Like he did Moon Knight stuff,
doing stuff. So
we need to get Stephen Platt back into this game too, because he's an underrated talent in this sort of same vein with Dale Keown and Ethan.
Yeah.
Ooh, storm's rolling in. So I think anything weird happens, folks, it's Florida.
Yeah. I got a rainstorm coming through, but it's not lightning. I don't hear anything, so I can stay.
So Rippa was a dude that got Screamo, had a great time cover his favorite comic books. Okay. All right. I think. Okay, hang on. Let's see here. Guy got successful in his Screamo band. Okay, right, because his music had some cover comics. Found it awful. They were, so he created his own. Yeah. No, I think we know the story. I think that what Dan is saying, it's easy to be that fan. Like I don't want to. I'm not going to put anyone on blast, but I have had crowdfunded comics that I have not done reviews on, and that may be a reflection of didn't live up to my expectation. And I'm trying to find a way to fairly discuss that, right? Because some things, they're okay. Like you were talking about Image. Sometimes it's the art. Like I went back and reread like the 90s McFarlane, and I'm like, of course the art's amazing. But the story, issue 4, it's like, oh yeah, okay. I'm kind of, it's not as great as I remember.
Yeah. I was torn on the art though, because I didn't like the way he did the people, but they were way too cartoony to me. But the Spider-Mans were some of the most dynamic Spider-Mans I've ever seen.
Oh,
so
sure.
They were,
and Calypso's
the funny thing is they were drawn almost like completely incorrect, but somehow in his style they made it work, and it was really, really dynamic.
Yeah.
And it was just it was good stuff. But I still say though that it was even though that they had some great art in it, it was such a departure from the traditional Marvel style of Gene Colan, Gil Kane, Ramita, Buscema, that sort of or Kirby. That line of art was such a departure from that I think that was a shock to the system that I don't think it recovered quite from it, because it didn't that all those people who were following in that. When you have a brand, it's like you got to kind of stick to your type of art that you have. Sure. I think if you depart too much from it, can be popular short term, but I think over time it didn't work. So I don't know. Because because when he left, then you had other people like Eric Larson who weren't as good. It came coming along and trying to, duplicate that style, and they duplicated all the weird things without the quality.
Yeah. Some of the Larson stuff, it's all over the map. Like you have issues where you're just like, I don't even know what's happening here. Yeah. And I remember getting it in real time, and I was actually kind of confused. Like I'm not sure what's happening. Like I just didn't know what
that's to me. That's the biggest no. And and I've seen some of the crowdfunding comic books not having the greatest.
No, it's all over the map. We're gonna get everything just like we did back then, right? It's a free for all, and that's fine. That's all good. And I again, the writing stuff too. Like Chris Claremont is a goat on X-Men. But I have to be honest, when he rebooted this stuff in '91 with Jim Lee, there are issues. There's so many words. It's so wordy. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. Like, why do we take up all this room with these word bubbles and not let Jim Lee's art just take over the whole page? Like, this is,
he was excessive with his words, but he was a good
but it
a good
wasn't that
wordsmith.
way
Yeah.
before. It's just like it got that way. And the stories are good. It's just there's so much. It's like when I see a movie, I'm doing a review, sometimes I'll go like, this scene could have been cut. We could have done without this. We could have done. That's all. It's just me being
Yeah.
judgmental. And
Isn't it crazy
I know I'm
that
nitpicking.
isn't it crazy that they've hired him on to not write?
I don't understand what's happening.
It's really the most strange thing. That they got to be paying him a lot of money to do that, but because they just don't want him going somewhere else. Is this the strangest thing? You know,
I don't like sanity is long gone.
Yeah,
because I don't understand on how you're not trying to make money.
Not create anything.
I know.
Like,
and how do you not approach every aspect of your business to make money and throw that out the window for things like agenda or what? I just don't. To me, I can't fathom it. Like, I really, this whole last couple of years for me has made my brain hurt. Like, I don't understand how it can get this far and people having jobs for so long. Oh my gosh, chat's going crazy. I should got to catch up to chat. Okay, Superman with truth, justice, the American way isn't a classic Superman and added from the radio show and wartime propaganda. Okay. Still talking about Eric Lawson. All right. And someone likes Eric Larson's Spider-Man. Cool. Okay.
Well,
the stories were fine.
Guys, I mean, even Liefeld, they were fun. The kids liked them, you know.
Yeah.
It was, but I wouldn't say it's it's great art. You know, it's I don't know. I didn't think it was, there's no discipline in the abilities there, but I don't know. You know, if you like it, it's great, but I don't think you can build a future on it because you have to have. To me, you have to have. If you reject the Greek and Roman artistry of the past, that whole history that
right.
A lot of the first comic guys were drawing from, and just go to this cartooning stuff, I think it's not going to quite work. And sales have proven me right in that way. But
true, and Awesomeone's right, man. Modern comic books appears to be catering to women, where there's lots of talking and feelings. I kid you not, Awesome One. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a comic book and I'm looking at it and it's like 7 pages of them sitting in a restaurant and they're talking about food and what's going on in life. And you have whole pages in, just countless titles, almost like a fake social media page for that character. It just makes my head like, what on earth am I doing? It's not a comic book. It's just,
it's also the problem is it's not, because there was a time they had romance comics apparently sold pretty well. It's a little bit just before my time. But those comics were written for women, but they were talking about relevant things, romance.
They were grounded in real life. It wasn't a superhero book, though, right? That was like an indie things or something.
Now the women's stories are exploring psychological problems that these writers apparently have, or they see in society or whatever it is, and it's either too preachy or it's just a mental mess.
It doesn't. Sometimes it just doesn't make any sense to me. Praise for Jim Lee, of course, which we all concur about his art. Absolutely agree with that. And lots of Eric Larson back and forth talks, that kind of thing. So
that might I have to admit my opinion is a little biased. I usually don't take shots at other artists and stuff, but some of the stuff he said even recently.
Well, now you're talking about his personal stuff. We talk about him as a person. My head.
I'm just saying when
Savage Dragon stuff gets crazy.
I usually don't say anything negative. Try not to say anything negative about anybody's artwork, but when you kind of get nasty out there, then I don't mind.
And again, there's a time and a place. Like Rob Liefeld's over the top look worked okay for cable, right? And then we had Prophet. We have some certain things, and then you start doing it some other stuff, like he did the Captain America, and you're like, no, this doesn't work at all. Like, this does not work,
right? So
there can be a place and a character and a time and the story or something like that. That is important to note as well. Like, Eric Larson, I can be honest, and some of his stuff, Savage Dragon stuff, it's fine. It's fine. But, the effect on Spider-Man, it was a completely different look. And I think that was I don't think they knew what. And then of course we ended up with what 4 years of the Spider-Man explosion where it's out of control. I mean, he was basically a guest star in every freaking comic book with Wolverine and Ghost Rider, and it's just an insane time. But it was
Yeah.
fun.
Do you remember like what did they have, like 5, 6, maybe more Spider-Man titles at once?
Let's see. Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man. They get them all. Amazing, Spectacular, Web, Spider-Man. Yeah, there was 4 or 5.
Yeah. And I think if I remember right, what that was, the Image guys left, and what they decided to do was flood the market. So they just and that was they did it like a hostile sort of takeover, like you would, and I think that was it Perlman or something. The guy was in control. He ran the business almost like it was a hedge fund or something, you know, kind of a.
Well, they also thought it was going to keep going, right? So when it first exploded at the end of '92, I mean, Wildcat sales were through the roof. These number one issues was such a big deal. Everyone was buying number one issues. It become also like investor speculator stuff. But the problem is that they were also, no one was keeping track of the sales numbers, realizing, but they sold 2 million of these things. There's no investment going to be made on this book. It's everywhere. I think that's also shot them in the foot too.
Yeah. Well,
but no, I forgot Spider-Man
out,
Unlimited in there.
Yeah,
it came along in '93.
Marvel was putting out all those books,
hundreds,
to
like
flood
112 or something titles.
The problem is they didn't think that, because all they thought was sales. We'll do 10 number ones, and because those number ones sell a lot, but they just destroyed the quality of a number one then, and it just depleted the value of a number one. So and also because they had so many books out, the talent pool was really thin. And those comic books were junk. And again, these comic collectors who have been collecting Spider-Man their whole lives just said, "I don't want junk in my collection. This is like a disease or something." The quality, when they ignored the quality in the terms for the buck, were all the specialty covers and all that kind of stuff. I mean, some of that stuff. I was on the free list for a while because I was at Marvel, and I was getting this stuff. I think I threw out in the trash some of this stuff. Like, it's just bad.
You're not the first person to tell me that too.
It was just because I'm like, what am I going to do with it? I don't want to sell it. I can't sell it. I don't feel like selling it. It's too much work. What am I going to do with these boxes? And I literally, I think I just tossed them.
And I was doing like
had them a garage
the flea market store during that time where I was selling them. It's like Sleepwalker, Death's Head. Like, it was just these comics, you're just like, this is just such crap. And then they would like put the characters in other stuff to try to get you to like them. And you're like, no, still no good. Still no good.
Yeah.
So
they just didn't, you got to, this is, again, gets back to the crowdfunding. One comic book, you working on one character, make it as great as you can make it. That's the future of comic books. That's what's going to last. You can't beat quality. Quality is it,
James says sometimes you have to leave money on the table for the health of the market.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you have to make good business decisions, but you also, I got to be honest, there's something to be said about in the collectible industry about the scarcity of it. Like, you know what I mean? I think sometimes if they told people how many there were, this whole thing about hiding the numbers, I think it works against them. There's an app that I use, and it will talk about scarce books. And I have to be honest, it makes me look into them just because I know there's, let's say, it's usually at the very end of a run. So like the Teenage Ninja Turtle run or something, it'd be like the final 3 or 4 issues. There's only like 9,000 of them that were even made or something like that. It makes me look into them like, I don't know if I've read them or not. I don't, but there's only 9,000 of them. And I think by hiding some of these numbers, they're doing themselves a disservice, because at the end of the day, what are you going to do now? It's over. It's been like 10 years ago. How many times have we rebooted freaking Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel and Black Panther? We're on like volume 8 suddenly, or 10, or what? It's like, okay, well, we don't even know what's going on anymore. But we can't connect to this industry. We just can't.
Mm-hmm.
CrossGen was good, but they expanded too fast, made too many books that didn't have readers. The thing about CrossGen too is they were kind of pricey. A little pricey for me. I enjoyed some of the cross-gen, especially early on. And McFarlane made Spider-Man a supernatural anti-hero Spawn. Well, kind of. His Spider-Man was fine, but Spawn was a different thing. And man, it exploded into like a phenomenon for him. To this day, it's still like a cool thing to live through.
Even the McFarlane Spider-Man, though, he was kind of just taking the old characters and kind of rebooting him in his cool, crazy, detailed style. Did he actually come up with? Well, I guess Venom would be his big contribution, wasn't it? I mean, that was.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there wasn't really anything else that he brought to the table that was really that cool. I mean,
he's mostly
his Amazing Spider-Man run was way better than the standalone series. The standalone series got saturated with guest appearances. He had to have Beast and all that kind of nonsense just thrown in there for hardly any reason. There's a Wolverine Wendigo story that doesn't really give you a whole lot to go on or whatever. But his little Villain of the Week run after the Venom introduction. The Venom introduction in Amazing Spider-Man 300. But once you get to like the Villain of the Week, where you're into like, 305 to like 330. So he has like this run of about 18 to 24 months. That's some good stuff. It was fun, if nothing else. And the art was cool.
Yeah.
So, and he, I think Dave,
he had a lot of heart in it, and you could just see he loved it.
Is it Dave Michelin? Is that how you say his name properly? I don't know how to say his name properly. Dave Michelin wrote a lot of those.
I knew how to say that one. Yeah.
Yeah. He wrote a lot of those, and they were fine. They're fine. So let's go back to Dave's work. Dan's work here. Sorry, I had Dave out of my mouth too many times.
Hey, you know what I'll do? Now I have my YouTube channel, and I do those speed drawings. Now I'll click on this is the final image. Like I said, it takes me an hour and a half to draw it. I bring it down to about 5 minutes. On Instagram, I have just a less than a minute. You can only get 60 seconds to put on something. So I really condensed this, and you can actually watch this. I don't know. Can you hear it? If I play the sound?
If you didn't share audio, you can't.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. We don't need the sound because Lord knows that'll be what gives the copyright flag. Will be the music. They're nuts on music.
No, because you won't get it because this is YouTube music.
Yeah. Okay.
So it'll be fine. But
that's cool though.
Here it is. I'm just creating this sucker, and I jump ahead. Like I said, you'll see the whole thing if you go on YouTube. But this is the Death Dealer being fully painted.
That's awesome. And
you can see how I do armor and all the figures, and so this is a lot of fun. It's almost a little nerve wracking too, though, because I only got I can't keep these. I can't do speed drawings that are like 20 minutes. So nobody's gonna watch those. So I'm kind of under the gun to do it right, and do it fast. But it's a lot.
Maybe you guys in chat tell me. I wouldn't be opposed to listening or checking out a 15 or 20 minute one. I don't think I'd want to go longer than 15 or 20 minutes. I'd rather the most.
Right.
But let's see. James is correct. This is the only new villains the Swimmer did on his ASMR were Venom and Sticks and Stone. Yeah, Sticks and Stone did come along as well.
Yeah, here's another one. This is a character of Kilrog from the video game, the World of Warcraft stuff. So another cool thing, and you can see how much I'm bringing up the stuff that's fantasy on purpose. You can see how much I actually love this stuff. So
I really do enjoy this sped up version too. That's really pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, I think Dave Finch on his drawing channel does speeded up versions, and then he voices over his stuff. And like I said, I think I got to do more of that so I can talk about. Okay, here's where I added some color. I think I needed this and put some shadow.
Especially if you're using, you say you're using Photoshop for a lot of this, right?
This is all Photoshop, yeah.
Yeah, so I got to be honest. Also, talk to us dummies. Like if you want to go to, you can also do a little Photoshop or do a little. Well, you have to go to this and create this kind of layer, and this is kind of how you change your color or something. I know that sounds crazy, but for some of us noobs, I mean, I can Photoshop and make stuff, but reality is to level up. Maybe let me like one thing I learned. I don't know. That's cool. Yeah, so this is what you get on Dan's YouTube channel, folks. If you aren't already subscribed, you need to be, because then you'll check out stuff on your own. So Dan can keep leveling up his stuff over on YouTube.
Yeah, this is the one video that I created that I learned my lesson about copyright, because I did use YouTube's music, and then at just the very end of it, I threw in the little jingle Spider-Man, that one,
If you went over 11 seconds,
I swear it was like 8 seconds of it, and the YouTube said that's copyrighted material, you can't have it up. I'm like, wow, that little bit, because I combined it with other sounds too, And
they're real weird. What you can do is when you do your upload, you can see if it'll flag it, and then you can figure out how to tweak it and adjust it or whatever.
Yeah.
And
So I just went. I mean, I went back and just removed that bit. So
yeah, I like the Stranger Things thing we played earlier. I had to find somebody who had like a knockoff Stranger. It's not actually Stranger Things, so it looks like it sounds close enough. But I uploaded it as a test to make sure it wouldn't get flagged. So, but I've gotten flagged on face swapping. You know what face swapping is? Those apps that'll put someone's face over another thing.
Oh yeah.
Because of the music, even though they're like 8 to 10 seconds, it doesn't matter. They got flagged. So
YouTube's. Now, do you use YouTube's library?
I do, but not for the face swapping thing. But for some of the other stuff, it's hard sometimes to narrow because the bucket of free stuff on YouTube is so massive. Sometimes it's hard to whittle it down to something that you can use. Like, help me get this something I need. So, yeah, they're loving this. Awesome one saying wow and dude, and that'd be really cool. Yeah, check it out. Go over to his channel, subscribe. Go through the library of stuff he's got already up there. Go to his IG page. You can see his stuff over there on Instagram. Redbubble is there as well. If you want to buy some stuff, he's got a few things. He has not nearly enough stuff over there. He's going to have to spend some time. There it is. There's the classic.
Yeah, there's my
Fleer Ultra card
art. I did sell the original on this art though. It's
beautiful. Sorry, James. And then of course the link we put out there for Sequential Treasures over there. Get connected to James. And he gets some of that original artwork going.
Yeah, I don't know if James actually sold that for me, but
that's a beautiful piece. That's for sure. Those cards are so beautiful. I'm still enjoying. Actually, I think I posted a little short. I've been posting shorts of like trading cards and stuff, and I posted a Fleer Ultra card, Boris Vallejo one. You know, Boris did a bunch of little Marvel cards back in the day.
Yes. Yeah.
There's something else. There's something else.
And here's my avatar that you find everywhere.
Yes, I love it.
The image that I created.
With axe and sword that are way too small. Way too small. Just saying.
What's that?
The axe and the swords need to be bigger. Sorry. It's a joke that I have with Dan. Nearly everything he does. I'm always like, bigger weapons, more blood, more scars.
Yeah. But imagine
I'm the Christian pastor guy calling for this, by the way. I'm like, I'm like the last person these people would expect.
Imagine the speed of those weapons, though, because they're not terribly heavy. They're still heavy. Those things are still heavy. Solid steel, and the damage they can do to those Panther guys is pretty extreme.
Who is the dude there below that go down into? Who's that guy on the left?
Oh, that's just Capone. That's
Al Capone. That's the Al Capone book. Okay, sorry.
Well, it's not actually from the book. It was just a practice.
Okay.
See how it would
you working towards that project? Gotcha.
Just wanted to. It's sometimes I have to submerge myself a little bit in the project. This was what it was for. Eventually, it was this wraparound cover for Al Capone Vampire. So,
by the way, someone made a really funny joke. Let me scroll back up here and find going back to the one with the looks like going in underwater with the killer tuna. There were still some more jokes about that in chat, by the way.
I love that kind of stuff.
That's just fun. So yeah,
that's what's so much fun about the YouTube. This immediate reaction to work. People get to joke around and have fun, and it's like hanging out. Just like, and I can show stuff. Hey, check this out. And get immediate response, and like you can just see the little responses. The fire emojis and all that kind of stuff.
Esau, tuna slayer to Jacob, Namor. All right. So I just love it. You have a style that, again, maybe you need to find a D&D writer. Find one of these D&D writers to help you come up with some sort of character or species or something. Next thing you know, you'll be down the rabbit's hole with some sort of like graphic novel idea or something like that.
Oh, I say I got it. It's done. We
just got to do it. We just got to do it.
And I have sent it to Mike Barron, and because I said, what do you think of this? Do you want to maybe help me out a little bit with this? And he writes back, goes, what do you need me for? This is great. And I'm like, really? I'm like, cool.
What more do you need, Dan? If so Barron's going to pass you,
that's pretty nice of him to say to put himself out of a job, because I'm contacting him to kind of like, hey, can I hire you? Whoops, where do we go?
It's an awesome piece right there. I love it. So yeah, I just finished Baron. I did a little mini review on Baron's Thin Blue Line and went through all of his stuff there. I just really enjoyed that story.
Oh,
It
did you
was
get
really
Mike on
fun.
the show? Because
I did have Mike briefly on the show.
okay.
We only talked about it a little over an hour, and went through that. And I guess right around the corner, we're gonna have the Private American will drop, so he'll have his next campaign going. His next comic book will be going, so that'll be cool. And we talked about a few things, and some of you guys have so much. I don't even know where to begin. I was freezing, and then we end up talking. I don't even check my notes. Like I'm pathetic. I'm really not very good at this, folks. For those of you at home thinking this is hard or you don't want to do it because you could never do it, please. I'm like a monkey with a microphone. I never talk about. I'm going to find my notes here. So
We're all like that, though. We're just goofing
like, did we
around
talk
and
about
hanging
your
out, so.
Star-Lord thing with Timothy Zahn last time? I don't think we did. Did we? Did we talk about Star-Lord?
I don't know.
Did you work with Tim? How was that? How does that work with someone like Zahn? It's almost like Mike Barron. It's like the same kind of thing. It's like these are guys that are like their game is like next level.
Tim was I think I tried to talk to him once. He didn't seem too interested in talking. So
he sounds like Grant Morrison.
I think I was just a punk. I was just just the punk kid, and
I don't have time for you, kid.
There's the covers, the one of 3 covers.
Yeah.
So the problem with this, I did this in my color pencil technique, and the problem with this using that technique is I found out, unfortunately, that it doesn't reproduce very well. Now these look better because it's okay if you did it, because these are like, I don't know, 18, closer to they're pretty big. And I don't think they're 18 by 24, but they're bigger than 10 by 15. So they took a reduction, but for some reason, when color pencil gets reproduced, it picks up all the graininess that you don't even see with your eyes. So these originals look really great, but the reproductions just didn't look so hot. And so I was very disappointed with that.
Awesome one saying I don't need notes, but I completely disagree. And let me just say, folks, for those of you that are Star Wars fans or whatever, so yeah, this Timothy, is that Timothy Zahn. Just so we're completely clear, yes, this is a Timothy Zahn comic book with Dan Lawlis. It's old school, 96, I believe.
Yeah.
Someone will fact check me, I'm sure, to make sure I'm right.
Here's the funny thing.
Sure.
The funny thing is, I don't really want to send anybody to find these books because I don't get any money out of it. This gets back to that thing where it's like, hey, go read go find these books. Well, no, because I've been paid, and that was 20 years ago. I don't see a dime from this. I won't even. They don't even give you residuals. I mean, they don't even give you
right.
If they reprint this book right now, the most I'll get is they'll send me maybe a book of it.
That's ridiculous. It's criminal.
But they almost like, I almost feel like, why'd you send me this book? It just reminds me that you're not paying me to reproduce my work again.
It's like bad. It's like a bad memory that I've forgotten, and you brought it up again. Yeah. It's like having your wife remind you that time you were in that car accident. Hey, remember that time you rear-ended that guy? It's like, thanks for bringing that up, honey. Thank you very much.
I mean, I was grateful to be able to work for Marvel for the time I did. That was cool. It was fun and stuff. But it's there's no money in it, and then what I'm finding also, to my disappointment, is because the Marvel's the readership is so far down and stuff, and people don't even care anymore. That they're even the fact that I worked at Marvel for a number of years doesn't carry that much weight. People are like, so what? You know what I mean? That's what it's like. It's like, oh, great. Then so it's almost like, unfortunately, it's almost like starting over.
I think that Marvel doesn't too. Marvel, would be like, when did you work at Marvel? People are also qualifying that, I assume.
Yeah, Marvel doesn't. It doesn't carry the same weight that it used to. That if you for your projects today, and some of the guys who have gone and done crowdfunding, who were kind of like saying, "Well, we're going to clean up and stuff," they found out the hard way that no, that it doesn't. The crowdfunding is the real world. You have to actually really produce something good. Mm-hmm. And so, which is great. I think that's cool. I'm happy to get busy and prove myself. So
yeah, it's awesome to get back into the game, meet some folks, be on YouTube. You're on different streams and channels and stuff all the time.
All around. Yeah.
Talk about some of the shows and streaming and things that you've been doing, because you mentioned about getting back more into doing some like how to draw stuff, your time stuff like that. But you've also been on some other shows and things like that.
Yeah, I show up on these shows, and because I use, like I mentioned to you, I used to listen to talk radio because it's just the banter the people talking, and as I'm often working through the night. And now with these YouTube shows, that's sort of the same thing. It's like, hear a little conversation. Like, it's like people keeping you company. And so then I will just be working, and I'll put my name in the comments or something, like these guys are doing here. I love doing the comments, and it's fun to get your comment read and stuff. But then eventually I got on the shows. That's what happens sometimes. And they find out, oh, you're an artist. And so you get, invited to be on the shows. And now people find out just how dumb you really are,
Well, Dan
there's no hiding it.
Dan is lucky because he writes, his signature it has Lawless, and it stands out, and he's the only Lawless in comics that I'm aware of. So therefore his stuff has always stood out to me in addition to his style. So it's like, it's easy to, it's a Lawless piece. So that's the trading card thing for me. Like, that's where I first found you back in the day.
Okay.
Oh, it's Lawless. Yeah.
Well, those are my favorite things. Those are my favorite pieces of art.
Awesome one. Now you know you're down the rabbit hole. Another great creator, someone who's passionate, loves his stuff. You can go to his YouTube channel, IG, get some of his art. Some of the stuff's not expensive. Like, he's giving it away. I got to be honest. I'm still shocked. I got to figure out how to pay off some of my own personal debts and things so I can get closer to retirement and have play money for things like this.
Hey, awesome one is asking, just mentioned me being on the show. We do a weekly show on Gabe Altaib's channel called The Players every Tuesday night, but it's Eastern Standard Time at 11 o'clock. So Western, it's because he's a West Coast guy. So it's on 8 o'clock for him. Anyways, we talk art. We've got Aaron Lepresti, we've got David Williams, myself, sometimes Sergio Carello, I forget. Cariello, and of course Gabe, and then Gary Martin, who's a very famous inker. And we just it's if you love comic book art, we just talk. Last episode we talked about Jack Davis, so we're going through all these classic great artists out there. And if you enjoy that, if you enjoy comic art and comics, it's a great show. It's a lot of fun. We just have fun. We just hang out. It's like it's pretty cool.
It is awesome. And it's just, there's so many of these guys. If you're remotely interested in this kind of stuff, them doing streams together and stuff like that. So, okay, awesome. You've watched Gabe, then So go to Gabe's channel, hit videos. You'll see the list there. There may be a playlist, but you can connect to one of the older ones, find out when they're doing a new one. There you go. You're connected. So
sometimes I've been on Ethan's show. There's a guy named Shanthan Jetty. I'll show up on his show sometimes, and because and these people are becoming my friends. So
yes,
it's really, like I mentioned before. It's like I never really had that when I was working in comics, because I'm in Michigan. Not too many people around here, and so through YouTube now I'm getting all these friendships. Like, the Professionals, all those guys are my peers.
Professionals is the best. Oh my gosh, these guys are crazy, and then just the stories that they'll tell.
Yeah, the stories is, oh my gosh.
Dan is tame compared to some of the other folks. I'll be honest, because some of the stories, I'm just like, I'm not sure I would share that at all. Like, wow, they're off the chain. Yeah. But okay, they're out there. The memories are there too.
I mean, I went into the advertising business, and that's where I've been for the past 20 years. But for these guys that stuck around and went to convention after convention and went to all these around the country conventions, you meet a lot of stars, and you have a lot of stories, and it's really, really crazy. So as I'm like anybody, you get a kick out of hearing behind the scenes stories. So those guys
and some of the stuff is so I don't know if I've told chat this or not, but Dan, I think I don't know. Anyway, so the first time I met Ethan was in 2003. I don't know how I ended up with this. He's sitting next to Alex Saviuk, and I don't know how it started, but I got him teed up where they were complaining about Marvel and cheating them out of their money. That was in 2003. And these two are going on and on and on. Alex is like, yeah, they reprinted this comic book and it's my Tombstone art in there and they don't want to pay me. And Ethan's looking at him like, oh yeah, and there was this time they did. I'm like, oh, and so I'm writing for this little website. This guy, the publisher, this EIC, looks at me and he's like, that was the greatest experience I've ever had doing this. And I'm like, I just walked into it and found the right button, I guess. I don't know. They've always been this way. These guys are not, putting up a bunch of fraud nonsense, just being who they are, even if it's for one video here or there. But you can get a sense when you watch a couple, okay, of who they really are and what they're like. And these stories are legit funny. They have some great stuff, legit, unchained,
well,
vulgar, vulgar stuff
Ethan,
sometimes too. But whew, goodness.
The way Ethan talks, I mean, he doesn't hold back, and so that gets you in trouble a lot.
Yeah.
But thank goodness he did, because that whole thing
changed the game. When
he had the courage, because I don't know if I ever told you the story of we were in this conservative Facebook group, and it was private and an invitation only kind of thing, and it was a whole bunch of guys who just normal everyday American guys who they run into this woke stuff and they kind of react like slightly negatively, and they get canceled or banned. And Ethan came into this channel when he had just had his falling out with DC, and he was really upset and frightened. And what is he going to do? I mean, his 20 years he's sort of put on the street with a little baby. It was I think to this day that pisses me off. Mm-hmm. And I remember in the chat, a lot of people were kind of consoling him. And I said one thing that's like, well, just be careful. Watch, just do what you got to do to protect yourself. Because I'm in the, in the advertising business, it's not much different. You just got to keep your mouth shut. And that was basically my advice to him: keep your mouth shut. I'm so glad he didn't take that advice, because he's not someone who can keep his mouth shut. He's going to say, and he said then, because they're out there calling me a Nazi and stuff. And he's like, I'm not going to sit here and let them do that and smear my name. So he started his YouTube channel and started talking, and of course it just cascaded. But thank goodness he had the courage to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to put up with this crap, and I'm going to speak out against it. Because then it was it started the whole cascade, and now you and I are talking because of that. He doesn't get enough credit, enough thanking, to tell you the truth, for that, for that all the things that all the relationships,
right? Throwing gas on this fire that created this crowdfunding phenomenon, because it definitely about raising the water to raise the boats, and it was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And awesome one, yes, you were my peer.
Yeah. Well, freedom is freedom's infectious. Once you suddenly see, oh, you can be free. I can be free of this. I don't have to kowtow and bow and scrape before the Marvel overlords kind of thing. I can actually create my own comic book and not have to do, and even my own YouTube channel stuff, and it's really, really something else. It's just complete freedom.
And now it's bled into other industries, and that's kind of how I got it here, right? Because I just decided that I'm going to stop writing for I'm going to stop doing all this stuff for other people. Like, it's just, that's how I ended up. We're going to do just this, and then I'll do a little bit of this dabbling that I have ownership in. Maybe I don't own it outright, but at least I have a piece. But this stuff over here, where I'm basically the behind the scenes guys, I'm doing contracted work, I'm writing stuff for penance. By the time you factor out your gas and your food or something they don't cover, you realize, how much money did I make doing this? And I could have just done this on my own dime and owned it outright and made more money, or had a better return on my investment. And then I've thought about like writing for websites that are dark. They went out, they're done, they're gone. So how many hours did I spend working for someone else? Yeah, I got paid something, but there's no evidence of it. It's like I'm not even sure it's a cached page anymore. It's just gone. There's whole sites that are gone. And at least with YouTube, I felt like, well, it probably won't go away completely. No. It'll probably still be there, And then once I back my videos and stuff up, so there's like a physical copy for the family if something were to happen. But reality is, it's like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my own thing. So yeah, and
now you've had Graham on the show and Mike Barron. Are you going to try to get like say Billy Tucci?
We keep dancing around the schedule. Of course, he's got a new campaign, so he's real busy right now trying to do stuff with that. Aaron, of course, is fulfilling, so we've gone a little bit around with Aaron.
Andy Smith?
Have I reached out to Andy, or Andy didn't? I don't know.
He would love to promote his core draft.
That would be awesome. Yes, I would love to talk to Andy about that.
Fraga,
I have not gotten through to Fraga. Fraga has not followed me back on Twitter, so I don't have a way to get a hold of Fraga. Okay. Actually, I'm a massive Dan Fraga fan. I cannot wait to have his.
Let me know, and I might be. I think I'm friends with him on Twitter. Like I'm connected. So any of those people that you want to try to contact, I'll try to pass it along if I can. Art
Yeah,
to
that'd be
Bear.
great. Yeah, oh yeah, Artie Bear. Oh yeah. I tell you what, every time I do X-Men books and I see these names, I'm just like, wow, the world's so different now.
Yeah.
I see T Bear Malin on a book. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah. If you
it just
dare,
hits me in the feels. It hits me in the feels.
and if you dare, you can have you can maybe get Malin on your show.
Malin would behave. He would
I know.
understand.
That's
Someone
what people,
has to be the bridge to the PG-13. Someone has to. You got to have one of us
people
out
don't
there.
realize what people don't realize is Malin's playing a character. When he gets on his show, he's purposely yanking people's chains and trying to be provocative, and I enjoy it. But yeah, it's almost like you got to get the joke. It's like that. This is the joke. They're being kind of out there. Same thing with Shane Davis and some of those guys. Cecil, of course.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Cecil's
I'm
riot,
game.
but it's like
I pretty much have an open door. I would talk to these crazy DC Marvel people. I have no problem. We can shape a conversation. We can shape an interview about things that they want to talk about and promote within a certain thing. I'm not about into like getting weird gotcha stuff to get clicks or anything like that. I'm like, if I have to do that, I'm just gambling, and I'm like a used salesman. I'm just like trying to sell something. I'm not. No, we have a conversation and talk about whatever. Like, I can't even reach out to most of them, Dan. Most of them, if, like someone was talking about the a new Chip Zdarsky thing, and I'm like, I can't talk to him. He blocked me. I can't. Someone else, I'm like, I blocked me. Why are you blocked? Well, because I'm adjacent to someone they don't like. Evidently, it was a term that I learned about a year ago. And I'm like, I didn't realize how bad that was. And I would share and I would like things, and eventually I'd just be blocked. And I'm like, now I admit I reviewed a few things. Those were not good reviews. Those people blocking me, it makes sense. I can fine. They have thin skin. They can't take a bad review. And I have to be honest, even if I did a bad review, it's not a personal thing. And I usually will say it's not for me. I usually will say, like, I qualify it. Like, it could be for you. Like,
these people don't realize too is any publicity, like even a bad, like having you, let's say they went on your show and you did say you didn't really like it, just connecting with people. Maybe the next one you will like, or you'll be more if just the blocking of you. Now you're ever going to pick up their work ever again? No, you'll you know what I'm saying? It's like you if they had been more friendly to you, maybe the next one you would have took another chance on another one, perhaps, or something like that. Now there's no chance.
Right. So if it was,
they're burning bridges left and right.
Yeah, I don't get that. Because if they, like I said, I hate it on the one, and let's say there's a new one, even if it could be good, I probably won't get it. If I hear it's really, really bad, it's more likely that I might get it just to hate watch it again because you've made me frustrated by blocking me. But we talked about McFarlane. Like, there's stuff McFarlane has done that I wouldn't like, and I'm sure he would know. Like, McFarlane's not stupid. Some of these guys are not dumb. Like, if I talked to Liefeld, we would have a pretty healthy conversation, and then I probably would find a way to tease him about, Captain America. Like, so really, how that happened? Like,
I don't think he takes too kindly to that, because that for him,
I know
that
people have razzed him a lot. I know. I would ask. But I will say, I usually ask in the emails, and you've had a pretty much free reign conversation. But when I emailed most of the creators, some of the ones we mentioned, I usually talk about, like, what do you kind of want to talk about, or do you have things you don't want to talk about? And I'm respectful. I came from this background. You think Hollywood and radio people don't have rules? I've had people we had to do interviews for where they came with questions. These were the 6 things you're allowed to talk about, and that's it. And like, half the time, these people would cancel the interview because they're like, I don't want to talk to them then. I'm like, well, then what were we doing this for? Like, they're not going to let you talk about, you're not going to have someone come on and you want to talk about TMZ or a divorce, or they're not going to do that. Yeah. So I'm used to that game. I'm not, So.
You know what? Marvel has not figured out yet that there's the new comic books are 2 products. It's the comic book and it's you. It's your and so the CG guys are out there selling 2 products. Marvel's got 1 product. People want to talk to the people creating their comic books. They want to interact with them. That's the new thing. It puts a lot of the like more introverted people a little bit of a disadvantage, but that's the reality.
One of the things I think,
if you want to sell your comic books, you got to get out there and talk about them. Have
you seen Ethan selling like the dinged and dented comics, the boxes that it got dropped for like $5 and $10? That is genius. That's genius, because you're at a different price point now. You're into somebody who just wants to read it. I actually looked at I thought about But the problem was I put so many things in the cart. I was supposed to spend like $50. I'm like, oh God, I can't do this. My wife's going to be mad. But then I couldn't buy one. I'm like, I'll just wait. It's okay. But I was like, just to read it and tear it all up, you know what I mean? Or give it away, things like that. There's so much value in that. Marvel and DC have just lost the script. And reality was when we were, 90s kids, right? If you were in Wizard magazine, you made one of those top 10 lists, you were gold. Yeah. You had people who didn't know you yesterday going to buy every single thing that you touched. It was so strange. The same thing could be happening now. They ignore YouTube. Why are they not all on the circuit trying to promote their stuff?
The reason
reaching out to people like me.
The reason is they don't want what's happening. They don't want the creators developing their own audience, interacting with them, and then doing their own crowdfunding, because that's what would happen,
Yeah.
And so they know that, so they can't. So they're in a bit of a pickle because they can't really promote their artists and sing their praises without building their. So some of these creators we're talking about, that's what they kept moving the creators from book to book, so you would never get too popular and too great. Well, it's terrible. What you're trying to you want to sing the praises of your artist and say they're the greatest artist, and to be as popular. You want your artist to be as popular as possible, but they don't. It's a strange thing, It's an odd thing to have a product that you got to be careful on how popular you make it.
Well, and they're probably not going to let people come back because they're going to try to want all these exclusive deals where you won't be able to do this independent stuff on the side. So let's say you're like Scott Snyder. Like I'm going to fix DC. We're going to get Scott Snyder to come back. Scott's going to be like, well, I'm not giving up that. I mean, I worked my butt off to get this going. I'm not going to give this up too. So that's why you won't see them come back until because it's all corporate. It's too big a corporate. Yeah, I don't know. Awesome one says, I wonder if YouTube will run out of storage. Files will get corrupted when they're older. I don't know. We already have stuff that's at least 10 years old. I mean, I started doing this like in 2012, seriously, and there were people long before me doing this. And those files are still out there somewhere. So woke types discussion debate is something to be avoided. It is not about making connections. It's only about pushing their agenda. Further SJW they are, the more true that is.
Yeah, it's not a conversation, and that's true. Even in the old days, let's say Kirby creates a comic book, and Stanley, they're connecting to you. They're creating something, and they're connecting to you, and that's communication, and it's all about communication. They're creating a fantasy that they have in their head that you respond to, and you connect on that level. And YouTube now is simply that in a different form. You're connecting still with the same. I'm a comic book fan, even though I draw them. You're a comic book fan. We're connecting with the same thing, and so we're talking about it. And even though I'm maybe the guy drawing something, it's still a connection and so Marvel is that, or some of these creators are acting like they're too good to talk to you, like. Yeah.
Oh, I've been told. Well, I've been told. Yes.
Well, they're
so strange.
That's the thing, is YouTube is revealing that, and their sales are dropping because people are like, oh, I don't, that person's not interested in communicating with me. That's what the whole business was really all about in the first place. So they don't understand it. They're losing.
The beauty of the letter column. You could write directly to the freaking company and they would talk to you back. It was the craziest thing. I own a web of Spider-Man 3 because my friend's letter was responded to in it.
Yeah.
Only reason I have that.
I'm one of the the geeky guys who would read all the letters, too.
Yes. Yes, we did. These people live like eggshell communities, worried about being. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's.
Let's see.
But we have to worry about a little bit of that. Just YouTube's police. I know. Familiar with Camel Moon. He got suspended for a week, and he just mentioned a certain thing that was contested. And I'm reluctant to even mention it. He mentioned it in passing, and he got suspended for a week. And it's like, holy smokes! Even political speech is being banned now. That's scary stuff.
Yeah, I was talked to once about a conversation in a break room. I'm like, on my own time in the break room. That was too much. And someone asked me a question and I responded to it. It wasn't like I was going around with a pamphlet or something. Yeah. Someone asked me a question. He goes, I think you write about stuff like this. Do you know about? And that's what we talked about. And therefore, I was asked not to do that anymore at work. That's basically where it came to. Now, really wasn't that big a deal because I still kind of do what I want. I just maybe approach it a little bit differently. So that's all. EVS has taken its own advice on telling those damaged books because it started with someone else. So that's, yeah. Let's see. What is this? Oh, look at this. Dan is the greatest artist. People aren't noticed. Yes, although I might be a little biased on that. Maybe.
Yeah, because he sells my yeah.
Links are in the description. Sorry.
But I am working. I'm still getting better.
And James, yes, we will. My schedule has gotten crazy. I apologize. I told Dan before we started, my whole world got crazy because some of the movie reviews and some of the different streams I've been on and stuff like that. So things have just kind of, I don't want to say gotten away from me because it's what you've asked. It's what I asked to happen. It's just, it went from being like, I'll be monetized in October to like now, and it'll be like, oh, you had to, okay. It's like, okay, it's a little faster. Got to
when were we talking about this show? It was like a month ago. You're saying I can't get to you, Dan, for like a month at least. And
I'm like, it was just every week, every day, things. And I have to have days where I can catch up. I can't have enough time to edit. I can't have enough time to up, and when you have a certain vision for it, you're also trying to keep it steered. And sometimes it's doing different things on you and it's hard to steer. You're trying to do, and I probably am not the most efficient at it because I have a sort of like core belief system. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do. So it being rigid with certain core beliefs is part of that. I'm not going to chase certain things. And I don't want to just, you make mistakes. You know what I mean? You go on streams, you do things, you just don't, you got to learn by missing. It's not all about, I got to miss a few times and, is what it is.
I tell you, you learn pretty quick though, because when you see some of these guys in their earlier videos, they're like, even like Ethan, it's like his first ones are kind of like a little mousier. He's just like, hello, how are you? And I think that even for myself, I'd like to go back and look at the first one I did where I was super nervous. But then I did a live stream trying to launch Gabe Altaib's Truth, Justice, American Way, and I was on there for 5 hours. Well, after 5 hours, guess what? You just give up. You're like being nervous because you're like, you're just exhausted and
sure.
And so you then of course, but also I don't see the crowd sort of, and that's part that helps and stuff. But you just end up having a conversation. It's kind of nice and stuff. So
I will say the biggest thing that's helped me was the fact that everyone has been so gracious with their time and supportive and helpful. And I've had to learn, like, so this happened I don't know what it's really only within the last few weeks. I made a comment. I would really like this. And it was like a video clip that would look like this, but then it would say Pops. And I kid you not, before the stream was over, someone said, check your messages. And they made it for me. And I'm like, holy cow. I thought I was going to have to just find someone to pay them to do this. And someone did that for me. And I didn't even know what to say. It's like, yeah. So the whole world has been changing very rapidly with that. Yeah. So I'm not used to that. I'm used to like being the producer. So I had to go and figure out how to get something made. Now I realize there's like this world of resources and people don't know what to do or how to contribute. They think, well, if I don't have a show, there's nothing for me to do. And reality is, no, I don't know how to edit really well. I don't know how to do thumbnails really well. I don't know how to do this. But I have a whole lot of stuff in my head that I'm trying to make work. And,
I'll tell you, I really appreciate all these people stepping up and helping out, though. Like I say, we do this Players Club show. There's people in the chat who have wrenches, and they're constantly dropping links in the chat.
Yeah,
and like they're doing that for free. We're not paying them anything, and it's just they didn't even ask them. And just like it's just there's so many nice people just helping out and contributing, and it's just pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I have a wrench for the main show, and then I have a couple of wrenches that have been like. So I did this one stream. We did so the press part of me when San Diego Comic-Con was started, my guest canceled. So it was Thursday. So all the news has started. Now I'm used to working like 12 hours a day that day covering stories. Like that was the old school me, having fun of covering all this news, right? So I'm like, I'll just do a stream. So I'm messaging one person who said yes, and another person said, I figured if I message like 8 people, I might get 4. No, I got like 10 people by the time this was all said and done, right? So it was crazy. So I made people wrenches to help manage the chaos of this incredible stream, because it really changed everything for me, because I realized I'm around. There's a lot of people who don't want to just hate you. There actually are people like yourself are like, well, I
Well,
can try to help you with that. Hey, you want to talk to so-and-so? You want to do this? The people are like, okay, I don't really want to be a jerk. I really want to help other people succeed. And there's a lot of that. There's more than that than I expected.
The jerks are loud and
Sure.
they're a lot fewer than you think, but they can make a lot of noise and they can sound bad. So, you know, that's the thing. When I going on the internet, I sort of made the upfront decision that, you know, hey, it's the internet. You know, you're gonna have to just deal with whatever crap comes your way, and
Right.
and it's almost like it's almost a measuring stick. The more successful I know I would get, the more crap. So it's almost like excited. Like I remember once, I got my first hate comment on Twitter. You know, and I was like, yeah, I got a hate. Like I'm growing. I've arrived. You know.
I've said, someone else yesterday, well, if I'm getting hate, it means I'm doing something right.
Yeah, it was actually
I pushed some sort of button. So
I'll show you. Actually, it was Mandy Summers. You can share my screen here for a second. It was this.
Oh boy, too much skin for some of them.
Her Gem Shock thing, and so I said, yeah, I got my first hate comment, and somebody said, well, what did they say? He said, I hate it.
Oh.
So, and I knew it was a hate comment because when I went and looked at their page, you know, it was really left wing and stuff like that.
Got it.
And they think mistakenly that comics gators are all right wingers. Now I think they are mostly conservative people, but there's, you know, you got people like Rainey who says I'm not a right. You know, there's a lot of people that are in there that they're not really political in any sense, but they loop you in there. So, you know.
Well, I'm a very like staunch libertarian-esque kind of person, and one of my early insults, you ready? I need to make it a shirt. Brainwash spewer of bile and filth. Yes. Like a badge of honor right there, baby. Like that's a solid one. Yeah, it is. Let's see. Even his hater, he had an acknowledged his charm. Yeah, you know. And I'm a mod on some channels. It's meh. But some people do love helping people because they love the creators. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's part of it too. A lot of the guys are willing to help because they really want to facilitate the creation of the comics, and they want these comics that people are, you know, creating. So, right. You know, that I think that's part of it too. They're just like, you know, come on, what can I do to kind of help you along? You know, which is really, really good, because that's the thing is that I could do the best, coolest looking comic book out there and stuff, but if nobody hears about it, no one spreads the word, it's sunk. You know, it doesn't.
Yeah, we have to keep. We're the marketing department. We're the marketing PR department
of people to say, hey, have you seen this comic book? It's great, and sing the praises. That's why I work really hard. Every first thing I do in the day is really look at the other comics guys and they're out there and retweet their stuff and try to promote somebody and look at some, you know, find the good in their work and try to sell it to other people and say, hey, look,
feel free to tag me in something too if you want, like, hey, Pops, did you see this kind of thing? Because I'll be more than happy to, you know, do that.
Well,
I just reached out to another creator who was
have you seen Jonathan Jetty? I mean, his Nosferatu.
Oh yes, but I don't have him on. We need to do that. We need to definitely get that.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, there's Narwhal. I just got his book.
I don't think I'm even connected to Narwhal actually.
He's a really awesome guy.
He's a cool dude. Yeah, I've seen the interviews and him on some different streams. So Andy Larson just messaged me back to come on because they were doing that Wesley Snipes book. Fraga had a thing on it yesterday. Okay. So that was pretty cool. So I reached out to a bunch of those guys, and Lawson, he messaged me back today. So we'll be able to set that up here soon. I say soon. Dan, as he mentioned, it's like 2 weeks from now. Yeah. You got okay. Awesome. When you didn't get timed out on my channel, I'm not a big fan of timing anybody out unless you're spamming, you know, or you're doing, you know, inappropriate stuff. But yeah, you can talk about anime. I'm just probably going to ignore you because I'm a noob when it comes to anime. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm completely out of the picture. I don't know what's going on with anime.
It's pretty good, James. Defender of misogyny in all its forms. It's pretty good, James. Shirt, monetize it, baby.
That sounds like a great T-shirt. Oh my gosh. Yes. But getting back to Awesome One's comment about anime, I don't know much about it. I know that it's when I've seen anime, I don't really care for the anime faces and stuff as much, but the technology is always just incredible. Like the way they draw those and the buildings and the scene, like I've never quite understood how they put so much work into the scenery and objects, but the faces they don't do realistically.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't think now the only thing that I really read religiously was the Akira. Yeah, I had the Akira line of books.
Say the exact same thing. Yeah,
and it's like that was just, to me, that was some of the greatest comic book stuff ever. Incredible. Now I would imagine that that's a lot of what anime is, when you get out there. And so I'm interested. I would like to read some anime. The funny thing is, you see those pictures now at all these bookstores of the animes all dominant. They got shelves and shelves of it. It's all perfectly put together.
I took a photo. This was the graphic novel section. And then there was like, this was manga. And I was like, what has happened? I took photos and tweeted it. And this was like, a year or so ago. It was crazy. Like, I'm like, wow. And it was just, I think we went through them all like, I don't know, like a month ago. And it was even worse. It was even the anime in that section was like triple what it had been. So their sales are going through the roof, not going down. So it was crazy. And toys, they added a lot more toys instead of graphic novels and comic books and stuff.
You know what I think I would do if I was Marvel? I put together a nice slick set of, like they did the Marvel Essentials. Just print that stuff in black and white, maybe a little bit even smaller. Because actually, one of my first introductions to comics was paperbacks that Marvel had put out. It was reprints of Ditko and Kirby's Ditko Spider-Man, Kirby's Captain America, and I liked that little paperback. And that's kind of I think that's the idea in the anime. It's a little bit, isn't it, smaller book a little bit in many cases?
Yeah.
They should do that with the Marvel stuff. Now, I don't want to give any ideas because I'm happy to see them disappear. Frankly,
I know.
I want to see, but that will happen eventually in crowdfunding after these. Some of these younger guys, I mean, just talking about like, if I did a book a year, let's see, that puts me in my 60s. So, there's you could get a library of books from me, but they're pretty small. But if you start when you're 25 and you did a series, you have at the end of your career, you've got 40 years of books. You got a good selection there. You can sell that. And, that's great stuff,
Well, it's the thing too, where just like, I think folks just have to learn that there's an industry there to be had, and discipline, and be creative and find your audience. Know that you're going to miss from time to time. You got to learn from that. Keep on moving and grooving. And Dan's done that. He deviated into advertising for a while, and he's coming back with a passion. And talk about a passionate guy. It's just so much fun to talk to. So,
hey, we've been going for
2 hours, bro. I'm going to let you go and let you have your life back. So this chat's been awesome.
That's part of the thing, though, is like for you, like getting people on your show and stuff like that. Some of it is just like, hey, I haven't talked about comics in what I mean, like that desire that we have as comic fans to connect with each other and talk comics. I don't know a lot of comic guys. Now I do through YouTube, Yeah. And it's a lot of fun.
It's blast. And I will say again, things change for me too, because people come to me now too. Like I'm starting to get that relationship going. People know they can trust me. People understand that I really am kind of an open door. Even if I don't totally like your stuff, I'm not going to try to humiliate anybody or embarrass them. We'll just have to figure out how to navigate through some of that. So anyway, Awesome was stepping out. Listen, all of you in chat, so much for hanging out with us.
Awesome.
Things like that. For those of you that are watching now or watching after the fact, the links are in the description. Feel free to connect with Dan, email me, all those kinds of things about different questions, things like that. It's been awesome getting to know you guys. I will be back on again, Dan. Are you ready? At 6 a.m. Eastern time to talk to Jinjin Ninja about his Indiegogo campaign live from Japan.
Oh, yes. Cool, man.
He's in Japan. So yeah, you were talking about earlier trying to get this comic book people and talk. Yeah, that's tomorrow. I have a busy day tomorrow. I'm up at 6 a.m. I'll be live at 6 a.m. I gotta be up before that. I'm actually usually up, but 6 a.m. more comic talk for me. It's a big, heavy comic week. So it'll be, good stuff happening all the time. It's been great to catch with Dan again. He is going to be out there doing the work, pounding the pavement, doing some stuff. So what can we do for Dan? We could just send him off and with a little reminder that go out there and make some time. Where are you? Let's find Bob Ross and make sure he knows how to chill. Where's Bob Ross? Come on now. I see all sorts of crazy clips that I have to make myself and other people laugh. This is the one.
Ross, all I do is chill.